Chapter 550, Reward 3. Then hand him to confound. Lung Ruoxue signaled the little white snake wrapped around her wrist to get rid of Sun Wei after speaking. The little white snake understood and quietly slid down Lung Ruoxue's wrist, crawling toward the illusion it had set up. Half an hour later, the elders of the Alchemist Association returned to Lung Ruoxue and the others. Miss Lung, we've already discussed it. If you can help us take back control of the Alchemist Association, we are willing to pay 2/3 of our assets as remuneration, an elder said as a representative. Even though 2/3 of their assets made them feel pain, it was better than losing the Alchemist Association. Those who know the truth are outstanding. Your decision is wise, Lung Ruoxue praised. I wonder when will Miss Lung be able to help us take back the Alchemist Association headquarters? The elder continued asking. Anytime if you're not afraid of Wu Gong finding trouble with you. Lung Ruoxue replied with a light smile. The elder was a little depressed because they were not sure if Wu Gong would cause trouble for them now. However, they wanted to take back the headquarters quickly. How conflicted. You have to think carefully. Lung Ruoxue reminded. Miss Lung, we've decided to take back the headquarters as soon as possible. The elders exchanged glances before an elder spoke. Okay, but I can only cooperate with you in the dark. The main force to snatch back the Alchemist Association is you, Lung Ruoxue said. Okay. The elders nodded. Wu Gong's problem was not resolved. They couldn't ask Lung Ruoxue to help openly. They didn't want to be Wu Gong's first target. Then plan carefully. Tell me if you need my cooperation. By the way, don't forget to pay for the room and food. Lung Ruoxue said in a good mood. The elders were collectively speechless. They had already paid 2/3 of the Alchemist Association's assets as remuneration. Why did Lung Ruoxue still remember the small money for rooms and meals? Sun Wei's matter has been resolved. Let's return to the inn quickly. Lung Ruoxue pulled the freak directly out of this uninhabited forest, Zheng En and the others following closely behind. Lung Ruoxue and the others walked directly into the living room after returning to the carefree pavilion. After sitting in the chair, Lung Ruoxue looked around at everyone in the hall and said, Songdi, you did well. Thank you for the compliment, Mississippi. Is there anything else you need us to do? Songdi asked expectantly. Their mission was relatively easier because Sun Wei was too weak, and there were no powerful experts around him. Have you dealt with Sun Wei's subordinates? Lung Ruoxue asked. It's been settled, Songdi reported. Oh, then go and help those elders from the Alchemist Association. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Miss, the people from the Alchemist Association headquarters are not strong. They don't need so many of us. Songdi said carefully. In fact, he wanted to help Big Brother Chung and the others deal with Wu Gong, but he didn't know if Miss would agree. Then go and help Qing Wu. The others will help those elders, Lung Ruoxue said understandingly. Miss, we also want to, a mystic sovereign said with some difficulty. He stopped mid-sentence. Go to Qing Wu after you're done with the Alchemist Association's matters, Lung Ruoxue said. She knew very well what these subordinates were thinking. She couldn't dampen their spirits since they were so enthusiastic. Yes, Mississippi. Well, go find those elders now. The mystic sovereign stood up and left the living room impatiently. Songdi's go to. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Alas. When did these people become impatient? Yes, miss, Songdi quickly answered, stood up, and left the living room. Haha, lass, your subordinates are quite proactive in their work, the little old man said with a face full of envy. If the elders of the Alchemist Association headquarters were like these people, the Alchemist Association would not have become like this. Grandpa do, I caused the Alchemist Association to bleed profusely. You won't blame me, right? Lung Ruoxue asked calmly. No. Hee, it's better than letting those assets enter your pocket than letting those ingrates benefit. Moreover, didn't you leave 1/3 of it for them? It's enough for them to rebuild the headquarters. The little old man said very generously. It was very easy for alchemists to earn money, so he had never taken those worldly possessions seriously. Hee, it's good that Grandpa Do doesn't blame me. It's getting late. Let's rest early. Lung Ruoxue said as she looked at the sky. Okay. Everyone nodded, and then returned to their rooms to rest. Lung Ruoxue and the freak entered the bracelet directly after returning to their room. Schwer, will the matter of the Alchemist Association be resolved tomorrow? Empty, who was waiting for them on the stone chair in front of the purple bamboo hut, asked. Haha, that will depend on the abilities of those elders. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Aren't you going to help them think of some way? Empty asked curiously. Not only are those old men stubborn, but they also want to play mind games with me. I don't care. However, I've already sent a few mystic sovereigns to help them. As for when I can regain control of the Alchemist Association, it's not up to me to decide, Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. Schwer, don't you want to receive the money early? Empty asked with a smile, his smiling black eyes full of teasing. I'm not in a hurry. Anyway, Wugong's matter isn't over yet. If those old men dare to renege on their debts, I'll send someone to inform Wugong. Hee, Wugong will be happy to cause trouble for them if he can't find us. Lung Ruoxue smiled evilly. However, she was very confident that those self-righteous old men would not dare to renege on their debts. Schwer, you're so bad. Haha. Empty said happily. Those stubborn old men from the Alchemist Association were unlucky to have encountered Schwer. I respect people tenfold if they respect me. Those old men are not sincere at all. I saved them, but they still play mind games with me. Will I still be Lung Ruoxue if I don't teach them a lesson? Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. She had to take revenge for her enmity. Whoever provoked her would not have a good life. Chapter 551. A good thing that fell from the sky. 1. Those old men have been in high positions for many years, so they naturally won't take others seriously. They deserved it. Empty gloated. Empty, what should we do with the people from the Mystic Association? Lung Ruoxue suddenly asked when she saw that nothing was wrong. Schwer, this is your business. Why are you asking me? You can decide for yourself. Empty said. Really? Then I've decided to destroy the Mystic Association headquarters. Lung Ruoxue said a little ruthlessly. What she meant by destroying was that there would be no Mystic Association headquarters on the Boundless Heaven continent in the future. She didn't believe that Empty wouldn't feel heartache. Schwer, there's no need to do that, right? There might be black sheep in the Mystic Association headquarters, but that was only done by some people after all. If we destroy the Mystic Association headquarters, then there won't be any place to transmute spiritual power in the future. Empty advised. Alas! He didn't want to see the Mystic Association headquarters disappear from the Boundless Heaven continent. There's nothing we can do. The Mystic Association has been under Wugong's control for many years. The president is in seclusion. If Wugong dies, won't the Mystic Association be leaderless? Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. In fact, I think you can take over the Mystic Association headquarters, Empty suggested. He could be at ease if Schwer took over the Mystic Association headquarters. I don't want to. You know I'm most afraid of trouble. Lung Ruoxue hurriedly refused. She had a headache even in Myriad Mountain City. She would definitely go crazy if she took over the Mystic Association headquarters. But I think you're the most suitable candidate, Empty said with a light smile. Aren't you thinking too much? Wugong isn't dead yet, and the Mystic Association is still under his control. The freak who had been listening to their conversation rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, This is called preparing for a rainy day. Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile, her beautiful face full of calculations. Yes, the fate of the Mystic Association headquarters is destined. Therefore, we have to think about it first. After all, this concerns the numerous mystics on the Boundless Heaven continent. Empty echoed. The effects on the mystics would be inestimable without the Mystic Association headquarters. Therefore, he had to think of a way to minimize this effect. It's not too late to think about it after Wugong dies. If there's really no other way, let Lan Ming manage the Mystic Association headquarters for the time being. Don't forget that his master is the president of the Mystic Association headquarters. The freak reminded. Lan Ming? His strength is too low. I'm afraid it will be difficult to convince everyone. Empty frowned and said after some thought. Destroy everyone who isn't convinced. Let's see who still dares to say anything. The freak suggested. You're ruthless enough, but what you said makes sense. Empty said after some thought. Then let Lan Ming take over the mess in the Mystic Association after Wu Gong dies. Lung Ruoxue gloated. Little Lan Lan would be troublesome in the future. She didn't care who took over as long as she didn't have to care. Poor little Lan Lan, your fate has been decided by the three of you irresponsible fellows just like that. Alas. Icy, which had been sleeping on the stone table, opened its ice-blue eyes and said with slight sympathy, Little Icy, sleep on your own. Don't eavesdrop. Lung Ruoxue picked up Icy and covered its little ears with her hand. Little Snowy, I don't need to eavesdrop. I'm listening openly. Icy said nonchalantly. Then don't listen openly. Hurry up and sleep. Lung Ruoxue urged. Oh right, little Snowy, you don't need my help to deal with Wu Gong. Icy asked, its beautiful ice-blue eyes full of interest. Help? Wouldn't you help him if you wiped him out with a sneeze? Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. She didn't intend to let Wu Gong live. Where could she find him if Icy sneezed? I don't have to sneeze, Icy said with a naughty smile. Boo. Little Snowy wouldn't think that it only knew how to sneeze. It was looking down on it too much. Master, leave Wu Gong to me. The transmogrified Fengzhan flew over and landed on Lung Ruoxue's shoulder. You're only a level 2 transcendent divine beast. Wu Gong is a mystic supremacy. Can you beat him? Icy said with slight disdain. Damn stinky bird, how dare you snatch food from its mouth. It seemed like it had beaten too little. It had to teach this bird a lesson when it had time. TCH, I might only be a level 2 transcendent divine beast, and might not be as strong as that long-legged Wu Gong, but I have many subordinates. I don't believe that we can't burn that Wu Gong to death with every bird in flame. Fengzhan said confidently. Those stinky dragons wouldn't dare to provoke them if they attacked in groups. Icy's forehead was full of black lines. Boo. It was not a match for these stinky birds in a group battle. Alas. It was good to have many beasts. Poor lonely person. Schwer, I realized that your beasts are even more ruthless. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Boundless' forehead. Alas. Not to mention Wu Gong. Even he couldn't stand the southern spirit flame of the Fire Phoenix clan. And each bird had a mouthful of southern spirit flame? Then Wu Gong probably wouldn't even have ashes left. He felt some pity for Wu Gong now. Of course. Their masters are too weak. Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of pride. Your strength is low? You're already a mystic monarch. A mystic monarch can also be considered a powerhouse on the boundless heaven continent. Empty said speechlessly. But aren't there many mystic sovereigns and mystic supremacies? Therefore mystic monarchs are nothing. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Master, I want to beat up that Wu Gong too. Charm jumped into Lung Ruoxue's arms and acted coquettishly. Charm wants to be beaten up too? Who else wants to be beaten up? Lung Ruoxue asked as more beasts gathered around her. Me. The beasts all rushed to speak. They might not be as strong as Wu Gong, but they had to participate. They had to help their master no matter. What if Wu Gong bullied her? I want to participate too, can I? The honest Big Hairy scratched its head shyly. It had been living with these beasts since Old Man Zao went into seclusion. Therefore it also treated itself as one of them under the influence of the beasts, even though it was not Lung Ruoxue's beast. Chapter 552. A good thing falling from the sky too. I want to too, the little peacock said. It might be Fengzhan's subordinate, but Lung Ruoxue didn't contract with it, so it didn't know what its current identity should be. Fortunately, its boss master would use it sometimes, so it felt that it was still useful. All of you? But you can't all go out. Otherwise it will scare others, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Alas! If others knew that she actually contracted so many beasts, wouldn't they treat her as a monster? Beloved master, let your darling train. Darling's beautiful silver eyes looked at Lung Ruoxue with watery eyes and pleaded. Master, you can't abandon Dazzle. The little black fox jumped into Lung Ruoxue's arms and rubbed against her non-stop while acting coquettishly. Master. Ling didn't say anything and just looked at Lung Ruoxue with its bright black eyes without blinking. Its eyes seemed to say, "Master, bring me along." Lung Ruoxue was helpless. Alas! This was the difficulty of having too many beasts. Both the palms and the backs of the hands were meat. Bringing anyone or not would make things difficult for her. And if a beast was sad because of this, she would not feel good either. She was conflicted. Haha, Schwer, it's really not easy to see your conflicted expression, Empty said with a smile. The Lung Ruoxue in his eyes had always been confident, but now she revealed such a conflicted expression. This was really too rare. Stop gloating. Hurry, think of a way for me. Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes glared fiercely at Empty, her beautiful face full of displeasure. That's simple. Ask Ling to cast an invisibility spell on them as long as they don't show themselves, Empty said with a light smile. Ling, can you do it? Lung Ruoxue asked worriedly. She was afraid that Ling's body would not be able to withstand using an invisibility spell on so many beasts. There should be no problem as long as Master's pills replenish its mystic energy, Ling said after some thought. Well, this was also a huge test for it. Ling, just do what you can. Don't show off if you really don't have a choice. Lung Ruoxue reminded. Okay. Ling nodded in response. Alright, it's settled for the time being. Everyone go back and rest, Lung Ruoxue said. Then she pulled the freak back to the purple bamboo hut. The next day, Lung Ruoxue brought the freak out of the bracelet and returned to their room in the inn. Someone knocked on the door. The freak opened the door and saw the old man standing at the door. He frowned and said, Elder Lien, what's the matter? It's like this. We've already discussed a strategy to meet with Miss Lung. Elder Lien braced himself. This man didn't seem to be too friendly to him. Alas! He was definitely ranked at the top among the elders of the Alchemist Association. Moreover, his words were very weighty, but it was completely ineffective against Lung Ruoxue. This couldn't help making him feel helpless. There's no need. It's good that you've thought about it. Moreover, didn't Schwer already get someone to help you? The freak blocked the way directly. He didn't have a good impression of these old men. Humph. These old men actually dared to plot against Schwer. They really didn't know how to write the word death. Alright then. Elder Lien had no choice but to turn around and leave with a wry smile. The freak closed the door with a bang when he saw Elder Lien leave, and then he returned to the inner room. Freak, who is it? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. However, she was more surprised that the freak didn't let that person enter the house. It's Elder Lien from the Alchemist Association, but he was sent away by me, the freak explained lightly. Oh, what's the matter with him? Lung Ruoxue asked. It's okay. He said that they had already discussed a countermeasure and wanted to meet you. I said that there was no need. Let them decide for themselves. Then he left, the freak said innocently. Oh, Lung Ruoxue nodded with a light smile, not planning to expose him. Schwer, where are we going later? The freak asked curiously. He didn't know what Schwer would do since he woke up so early today. Freak, let's take a walk around Carefree City, Lung Ruoxue suggested after some thought. They had been staying in the inn most of the time since they came to Carefree City for a few days, and they hadn't had a good tour the last time. Okay. The freak didn't care what he was doing as long as he could be with Schwer. After speaking, Lung Ruoxue and the freak exited the room and arrived on the streets of Carefree City. At this moment, there were not many pedestrians on the streets of Carefree City because too many things had happened recently. Moreover, many people didn't dare to wander the streets at all. It was said that the vice president of the Mystic Association, Wu Gong, had gone crazy. He would send people to capture and interrogate anyone suspicious on the streets. This made the atmosphere in Carefree City even more tense. The two of them walked on the streets and unknowingly arrived outside Wu Gong's temporary residence. Lung Ruoxue and the freak's eyes met as they looked at the slightly shabby yard wall. They looked at each other and smiled. Then they took out a few explosive balls from their rings and buried them in the corner outside the yard wall. Ling, help us turn invisible. Lung Ruoxue summoned Ling and ordered while no one was around. Yes, master. Ling answered and cast an invisibility spell for the two of them. Ling, do you know where Chung Wu and the others are hiding? Lung Ruoxue asked softly. Ling had been following Chengwu and the others for a while, and had only been summoned back 2 days ago. Yes, I know, Ling replied and led the way, leading Leng Ruoxue and the freak to the empty room where Chengwu was hiding. Miss, why are you here? Chengwu and the others were discussing their next step in the room. They hurriedly stood up and asked in puzzlement when they saw Leng Ruoxue and the freak. We came out for a walk, Leng Ruoxue explained. Oh, miss, we're driving Wugong crazy. Hee. Chengwu said proudly. He had never known that teasing others could be so enjoyable. Chapter 553. A good thing falling from the sky 3. Be careful. I'm afraid he'll be driven into a corner. Leng Ruoxue reminded them worriedly. Miss, don't worry. We already have a plan, Chengwu said with a smile, his resolute face full of mystery. Oh, what plan? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. She had not participated in Chengwu and the others' plans since she started for them. She was also training Chengwu and the others' adaptability. After all, she didn't want her subordinates to not know how to use their brains and only know how to carry out dead orders. Miss, Wugong has many mystic sovereigns by his side, so we decided to attack those mystic sovereigns first. We'll cut off Wugong's claws and let him search every house by himself. Chengwu said with a naughty smile. Haha, others capture the leader first to capture the bandits, but you're doing the opposite. Not bad. Leng Ruoxue nodded with satisfaction and praised. Miss taught me well. Chengwu flattered. Stop flattering me. By the way, I forgot to tell you that I placed a small gift from this mansion just now, so you probably have to find another place to hide. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Miss, you're really too evil. Wugong finally calmed down. Now he has to find a new place. Chengwu said with pity. Alas. Why was Wugong so unlucky to have provoked his young miss? Yes, of course. Pack up and prepare to leave. Leng Ruoxue said without any sympathy. Okay, let's leave this place immediately. Chengwu said fearfully. Miss, little gifts were not to be trifled with. They would kill. By the way, have you seen Mrs. Sun recently? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. She had long heard of the famous Mrs. Sun, but she had never had the chance to meet her. Alas! What a pity. No. I heard that Madame Sun left Carefree City after the big explosion at the Mystic Association headquarters, Chengwu said. That woman is quite heartless. Wugong encountered such an unlucky thing, and she actually left alone. Leng Ruoxue sighed. Alas! Was this the so-called flying off on their own when disaster struck? If she doesn't leave, do you think she can count on her and Wugong to go through thick and thin together? She's a married woman. She's already made a huge cuckold of the Sun family's deputy patriarch. If she continues to advance with Wugong, then there's no need for her to be the madam of the Sun family. Chengwu said disdainfully. He had never had a good impression of such a promiscuous woman. However, what surprised him was the attitude of the deputy patriarch of the Sun family. He didn't believe that the man knew nothing about this, so he really couldn't understand the man's thoughts. Yes, that makes sense. However, men's thoughts are really strange. Leng Ruoxue looked at the freak, then at Chengwu and the others and sighed with emotion. Schwer, why are you looking at me? I'm not such a useless man. The freak protested. He would never let that man go if any man dared to touch his Schwer. Miss, I'm not either. Chengwu said fearfully. Miss Gaze was really too. Haha, quickly leave this place. It will explode later. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help laughing happily seeing the depressed expressions of the freak and the others. Okay. Everyone nodded. Freak, let's go back to the inn. Leng Ruoxue turned to the freak. Okay. The freak nodded. Chengwu, tell me in advance if there's anything you need my help with. Leng Ruoxue said and left with the freak. Not long after Leng Ruoxue and the freak left, the mansion exploded. Wugong and his subordinates, who were not mentally prepared, suffered varying degrees of injuries. Fortunately, no casualties occurred. Wugong almost fainted from anger as he looked at the ruins in front of him. He gritted his teeth, looked at his subordinates and ordered furiously. Seal the city gate immediately and continue the carpet search. Don't even let out a fly. Yes, the subordinates said as they endured the pain. However, they had varying degrees of resentment for Wu Gong in their hearts. Would they have been treated like this if Wu Gong hadn't offended someone? Moreover, Wu Gong, as a mystic supremacy, couldn't do anything to a mere elementary mystic. This didn't prevent them from doubting Wu Gong's ability. Then why aren't you going? What are you waiting for? Wu Gong roared. President, what will happen to you if we go? A subordinate asked bravely. Now that they were all injured and didn't have a place to stay, he felt that they should find a place to stay first and search for Lung Ruoxue and the others. Don't worry about me. Hurry up and find someone for me, Wu Gong roared. Yes. The subordinates had no choice but to bite the bullet and search. In the corner, Cheng Wu and the others were hiding in the dark, watching Wu Gong and the others. Big brother Cheng, do you think Wu Gong's subordinates will listen to him? Hazy asked curiously. Of course not. Didn't you notice? They don't trust Wu Gong anymore. If I'm not mistaken, they will definitely obey but disobey in secret. Cheng Wu said understandingly. This Wu Gong really failed as a person. Alas, if he was half as good as his young miss, he probably wouldn't have been deserted. Obviously, Wu Gong was not far away. Big brother Cheng, should we watch Wu Gong or his subordinates? Song Di couldn't help asking. Go deal with his subordinates. I'll watch over Wu Gong. Cheng Wu said after some thought. Okay, be careful. Song Di nodded. Then he led his men and quietly followed Wu Gong's group. Lung Ruoxue and the freak went directly to the living room after returning to the carefree pavilion. Lan Ming, Zheng En, and the little old man were sitting in the living room chatting. After seeing Lung Ruoxue and the freak, the little old man asked curiously, Lass, where did you go? I went out for a walk, Lung Ruoxue replied. Then she found a chair with the freak and sat down. Chapter 554. A good thing that fell from the sky for. Miss, I saw Lan Ninger leave Carefree City when I went out just now. Zheng En said. Oh, so be it. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. She wanted to kill Lan Ninger, but she couldn't say this in front of Lan Ming. After all, Lan Ninger was a member of the Lan family no matter how bad she was. Little Snowy, I think Lan Ninger won't dare to return to the Lan family anymore, Lan Ming guessed. That might not be the case. Don't underestimate Lan Ninger's thick skin. Lung Ruoxue said in realization. But with what she did, she won't have a good life even if she returns to the Lan family, Lan Ming said understandingly. Superfamilies like the Lan family were very prideful, so Lan Ninger would not have any status in the Lan family anymore. Little Lan, I don't care how your Lan family will treat her. I just hope she doesn't provoke me. Otherwise, I won't let her go again. Lung Ruoxue warned. She could let Lan Ninger go this time on account of the Lan family. However, if Lan Ninger didn't repent, then don't blame her for being rude. Little Snowy, if you want to get rid of her, you better do it secretly. Otherwise, some old fellows from the Lan family will definitely not ignore it, Lan Ming reminded. Yes, I will. Lung Ruoxue nodded very seriously. Little Snowy, what's the next step? Lan Ming asked very curiously. I don't know. I don't have any plans. Lung Ruoxue shrugged innocently. Little Snowy, don't be like this. Tell me. Lan Ming pleaded with a bitter face. Really not. I've handed everything to Cheng Wu and the others to handle now. I'm just leaving everything to them, Lung Ruoxue said with a smile, her beautiful face full of pride. Little Snowy, why didn't you let me participate then? Lan Ming asked in puzzlement. Boo. Little Snowy's plans were all hidden from him. It felt very uncomfortable not letting him know. Your strength is too low and your IQ is low, so you can only be an audience. Lung Ruoxue looked at Lan Ming carefully for a while, and then said very cautiously. I admit that I'm weak, but how is my IQ low? Boo-hoo. Lan Ming's handsome face was full of grievance. Little Snowy said that he was weak, but did it mean that he was stupid? He was so depressed. Weak in every way. Lung Ruoxue glared at Lan Ming and said without giving him any face. Lan Ming was conflicted, so depressed that he wanted to scratch the wall. Little Snowy was really too evil. Zheng En and the little old man couldn't help covering their mouths and laughing secretly when they heard Lung Ruox's words. You're still laughing? How inhumane. Lan Ming looked at the two secretly happy people and complained. Hee little Lan president, our miss is the head of the family. You just have to listen to whatever miss says. Don't refute her. Otherwise, you will be the unlucky one. Zheng En reminded very kindly. Boo-hoo. I know you all belong to the same country and only know how to bully me. Lan Ming felt wronged, very wronged. Alright, stop pretending. Little Lan, prepare to take over the Mystic Association headquarters. Lung Ruox's words were like a bomb, blasting Lan Ming's mind into a blank. After speaking, Lung Ruoxua dragged the freak out of the living room very irresponsibly. After a long while, Lan Ming's consciousness slowly recovered. He looked at Zheng En and the little old man in the living room and couldn't help asking. What did little Snowy say just now? Miss said to prepare you to take over the Mystic Association headquarters. Zheng En said. He approved of Miss' words very much now. Lan Ming's intelligence was indeed a little weak. Moreover, his tolerance was very low. Why? I'm just a mystic monarch. I can't, Lan Ming said reluctantly with a bitter face. If Miss says you can, then you can. Don't refute. Otherwise, Miss will be angry. And once Miss is angry, you will be in trouble. Zheng En threatened. Lan Ming was depressed again. He was even more depressed than when Lung Ruoxua said that he was mentally weak. He could reluctantly accept being the president of the branch. However, he was not mentally prepared now if he were to manage the headquarters. Moreover, he did not think that the elders in the headquarters would submit to him. After all, where was his strength? Bratlan, I think this girl's idea is good. Your master is the president of the Mystic Association headquarters. As his disciple, it's only logical for you to take over the headquarters. The little old man explained. I know. Lan Ming nodded helplessly. Then why are you complaining like a little wife? Hurry up and go back to your room to wash up and prepare to take over the Mystic Association headquarters. You have to know that this is a good thing that fell from the sky. No one can ask for it. Zheng En said with envy. Boo-hoo. The pie is too big. I can't eat it now. Zheng En. If you're envious, why don't I give you this opportunity? Lan Ming hurriedly said. The current him wanted to throw this hot potato out even more. How can that do? Your master is the president of the Mystic Association headquarters. What will happen if I take over the headquarters? Zheng En refused. He didn't want that big package. It's okay. I'll explain to master after he comes out of seclusion. Lan Ming advised stubbornly. That won't do either. I want takeover. Mystics is only my second profession. I mainly work as an alchemist. If I take over the Mystic Association headquarters, I will be neglecting my main profession, Zheng En said evasively. What if your master agrees? Lan Ming looked at the little old man expectantly. My master won't agree, Zheng En said very confidently. His master wanted him to take over the Alchemist Association. But he refused, let alone the Mystic Association. Yes, I won't agree. Otherwise, the Alchemist Association headquarters would have been his long ago. The little old man said very cooperatively with his disciple. If Lan Ming wanted to continue persuading but was interrupted by Zheng En. President Little Lan, don't have any ideas about me. I want to wander around with Mississippi. It's impossible for me to stay in the same place. Zheng En said bluntly. Chapter 555. A good thing that fell from the sky 5. You're still leaving? Lan Ming asked with some displeasure in his heart. Was he going to be abandoned again? These baddies. Of course. Miss said that we will go for training after the incident in Carefree City, Zheng En said. Miss and the others wanted to improve their strength as soon as possible. And training was the best way to improve their strength. What about Myriad Mountain City? Lan Ming couldn't help asking. Aren't there Chengwu and the others? Myriad Mountain City will depend on them in the future, Zheng En explained. His feelings for Miss had already risen to a new height since Chengwu and the others told him about Myriad Mountain City. Zheng En, do you really intend to go for training after settling the matter here? Lan Ming confirmed with a long face. Of course. President Little Lon Lon, do you think I'm joking with you? Zheng En asked helplessly. Alas. Lan Ming didn't have to put on such a dead look when he heard that they were leaving. People who didn't know the truth would think that they had abandoned Lan Ming. No, I'm just not mentally prepared, Lan Ming said uncomfortably. A feeling of being abandoned slowly emerged in his heart. President Little Lon Lon, Miss said that there is no such thing as a banquet that will never end, so don't be too sad. Be good. Zheng En coaxed patiently. Alas. I'm going back to my room first. Lan Ming sighed, then stood up and said lightly. He needed to be alone for a good time. Master, could he be suicidal? Zheng En couldn't help asking as he looked at Lan Ming's slightly lost back. Hard to say, the little old man gloated. Master, why do you seem so happy? Zheng En's forehead was full of black lines. Hee, because I'm experienced and understand his feelings, so I'm very happy whenever I see someone struggling like I did back then. The little old man explained. Master, what's with your heart? Zheng En was speechless. Alas, he had always thought his master was a serious person. He only knew today that he was wrong. To gloat. Haha, the little old man said with a smile. Then he stood up and left the living room. Zheng En saw that he was alone in the huge living room, so he dusted his butt and left. The next day, in the living room, Lung Ruoxue sat in a chair and looked at the elders of the Alchemist Association, whose faces were full of smiles and excitement, and said lightly, Has everyone's matter been settled? Hee, thanks to Miss Lung's subordinate's help, the matter has been settled. Elder Lien said on behalf of the elders. He really didn't expect Lung Ruoxue's subordinates to be so efficient. This really surprised him. In that case, can you pay me? Lung Ruoxue reminded. This was what she was most concerned about. Of course, Miss Lung. This is 2/3 of the wealth accumulated by our Alchemist Association for thousands of years. Please take it. Elder Lien handed Lung Ruoxue a storage ring and said with a pained expression. Zheng En checked carefully. This will be our living expenses in the future. Lung Ruoxue took the ring and handed it to Zheng En. Okay, Mississippi. Zheng En took the ring with a smile on his face. Hee, it felt so good to see the pained expressions on the elders' faces. Check carefully. By the way, did you include the money for your rooms and meals these few days? Lung Ruoxue turned her beautiful eyes to the elders and asked after instructing. This is our money for the next few days. The corner of Elder Lien's mouth twitched. Then he took out a storage ring and said speechlessly, Boo, why was she still thinking about this bit of money? Elder Lien, you're very dishonest. Lung Ruoxue took the ring and threw it directly to Zheng En before saying with slight dissatisfaction. I'm old, and my memory isn't good. Elder Lien wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and explained helplessly. Boo, why didn't this girl know how to respect her elders? In fact, how could he have forgotten? They felt that it was too embarrassing to be led by the nose by Lung Ruoxue, so they didn't intend to give it as long as Lung Ruoxue didn't mention it. Their idea was that they would have a sense of accomplishment even if they could take a little advantage of Lung Ruoxue. However, they didn't expect their little thoughts to make them even more embarrassed. Oh, Elder Lien, do you need me to refine some pills that can enhance your memory? Lung Ruoxue said with a spurious smile. In fact, she had been laughing in her heart. Haha, these old men were not qualified to fight with her. No need. I can refine it myself. Elder Lien said hurriedly. Boo. He didn't dare to eat Lung Ruoxue's food anymore. It was really too expensive. He was afraid of going bankrupt. Alas. Forget it since Elder Lien won't give me face. However, Elder Lien, when do you intend to give me an explanation about Zheng En? Lung Ruoxue changed the topic and brought it to Zheng En. Miss Lung, you know the current situation of the Alchemist Association. We don't have a place to work yet. Can we give you this explanation after we rebuild the headquarters? Elder Lien discussed. No, you have to give me a satisfactory explanation before I leave Carefree City. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out with you. Lung Ruoxue warned. These old men's evasion made her very displeased because in her opinion, this was only clarifying Zheng En's innocence to the entire Boundless Heaven continent, and informing the various alchemist association. There was no difficulty at all. The efficiency of these people's work was really too poor. All right then. The company commander's little heart trembled as he answered. Boo. He had decided to stay away from this demon from now on. Elders, is there anything else? Lung Ruoxua asked with a light smile. 2 words were written on her beautiful face. Send the guests out. Oh, we're fine. Well, take our leave first. The company commander said. He had never seen Lung Ruoxua treat guests like this in his life. She actually chased them away without even letting them sit, let alone taking a sip of water. Ooh, what kind of people were these? Chapter 556. A good thing that fell from the sky. 6. Wait. Lung Ruoxua suddenly called out to them before the elders of the Alchemist Association were about to leave the living room. Miss Lung, is there anything else? Elder Lian asked in puzzlement. Zheng-un, their remuneration isn't bad, right? Lung Ruoxua turned to Zheng-un. Yes. Zheng-en suppressed his smile and replied. Miss was really too evil. However, he knew that the reason Miss did this was to vent for him. Oh, that's good. Elder Lian, you can leave now. Lung Ruoxua seemed to be relieved when she heard Zheng-en's words. Then she said to Elder Lian, and the others whose faces were a little blue. We'll take our leave. Elder Lian suppressed his anger and left the living room with the elders. Haha, lass. Aren't you afraid that they will bear a grudge if you do this? The little old man couldn't help asking with a smile after Elder Lian and the others left. Don't be afraid. If they dare to play any more tricks, I'll directly deal with them. Lung Ruoxua said without any emotion. Swear, don't worry. Those elders don't have the guts to plot against you anymore. Empty said with a light smile. Yes. Lung Ruoxua nodded in agreement. Miss. Lung Ruoxua and the others were chatting when Blackie ran in anxiously. What's the matter? What happened? Lung Ruoxua couldn't help asking when she saw Blackie's nervous expression. Miss, Big Brother Chung and Wugong are fighting. And he's injured. Hazy shouted worriedly. Why did they start fighting? Isn't he invisible? Lung Ruoxua stood up and asked in puzzlement. I don't know how Wugong found him. We saw the 2 of them fighting when we returned after cleaning up Wugong's subordinates. Big Brother Song and the others have already gone to help and asked me to inform Miss. Hazy said while panting heavily. Let's go take a look. Lung Ruoxua looked at everyone in the hall. Okay. Everyone nodded, and then left the living room with Lung Ruoxua. After Lung Ruoxua and the others arrived at the location of the fight, they saw several mystic sovereigns surrounding Wugong, who was cursing loudly. You cowardly turtles, do you dare to fight me one-on-one? Wugong roared. He was really angry. He had finally discovered the whereabouts of the people who were secretly causing trouble, but he didn't expect there to be so many people. Moreover, they were all mystic sovereigns. He might be a mystic supremacy, but he couldn't withstand the group attacks of so many mystic sovereigns. Why should we fight you one-on-one? You, a mighty mystic supremacy, actually want a mystic sovereign to fight you one-on-one. Aren't you embarrassed? If I were you, I would have bought a piece of tofu and committed suicide a long time ago. It would be embarrassing to live anyway. Songdi shouted rudely. The other mystic sovereigns let out low mocking laughter as soon as Songdi finished speaking. Everyone looked at Wugong with contempt. Are you all so capable of surrounding me? Wugong was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. He kept complaining in his heart. Where did those damn subordinates go? Why didn't they scram back quickly? At this moment, he didn't know that his subordinates had already seen the gods. We're weak, so what can we do? Songdi said nonchalantly. He agreed with Miss very much now. As long as they could win, the process was not important. Wugong was so angry that he couldn't speak. Suddenly, he glanced at Lung Ruoxua and the others, who were walking over. He couldn't help but say angrily, Du Min, it's really related to you. Yes, it has to do with me. Can't I? The little old man asked with a chuckle, his face full of schadenfreude. How dare you repay kindness with ingratitude by staying in the territory of our carefree city? I've decided. I'll expel you on behalf of the Mystic Association. Wu Gong glared fiercely at the little old man and roared. Are you sure you have the right? The little old man asked mockingly. Of course. I'm the vice president of the Mystic Association. I call the shots in the Mystic Association, Wu Gong said confidently. You also know that you're the deputy? Then do you still remember that you have a president above you? The little old man reminded coldly. The president has been in seclusion for many years. Who knows if something happened? I'm the eldest in the Mystic Association now. Wu Gong emphasized. Nonsense, you're the one who had an accident. Lan Ming couldn't help cursing when he heard Wu Gong curse his master. Who are you, ugly freak? Wu Gong glared and questioned. Damn it, how dare you scold me? I won't let this ugly man go. I'm Lan Ming. Lan Ming gave his name directly. Then his lips curled into an intriguing smile as he looked at Wu Gong. Lan Ming? Impossible. How can Lan Ming be as ugly as you? Wu Gong said in disbelief. Humph. It wasn't like he hadn't seen Lan Ming before. How dare he lie to him? Believe it or not, Lan Ming said nonchalantly. Then he turned his head and ignored Wu Gong. Wu Gong, how did you find them? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously after taking a pill for the injured Cheng Wu. Haha, do you want to know? I won't tell you. Wu Gong laughed hysterically and said proudly. I know even if you don't say it. It's because of these powder. Lung Ruoxua said in realization. She had just found these unknown powder on Cheng Wu's body, and guessed that it was most likely because these things were making monsters. How did you know? Wu Gong asked in surprise, his face full of disbelief. He thought no one would recognize the powder, but it was discovered by this woman so quickly. I'm not telling you either, Lung Ruoxua said angrily. You. Wu Gong was so angry that his face and neck were red. He kept cursing in his heart. How can there be such a despicable woman? What about me? Wu Gong, today is your death date. Enjoy the last moment of your life. Lung Ruoxua said with a smile. Chapter 557. Boss owner, want to knock? 1. Don't be too smug too early. It's not certain who will die. Wu Gong retaliated. Is that so? Then be smug to your heart's content. Oh, right. Do you have any last words to tell your old flame? It's best to say it now lest you don't have the chance to say it later. Lung Ruoxua said very understandingly. Can you tell me who you are? Why do you want to go against me? Wu Gong suppressed his anger and asked. It was really uncomfortable not knowing who his enemy was. Can't you guess? Seems like I overestimated your intelligence. I'm Lung Ruoxua. Lung Ruoxua said very honestly. Alas. Were these people from the Mystic Association headquarters all very weak in intelligence? You are Lung Ruoxua? No. That's impossible. Everyone knows Lung Ruoxua is an ugly freak. Do you think I've never seen her? Tell me, who are you? Wu Gong didn't believe the words of this drop-dead gorgeous woman in front of him. His first reaction was that this woman was lying to him. Believe it or not, I don't care. Lung Ruoxua said nonchalantly, and then summoned her beast. Charm, Feng Zhan, I'll leave this old thing to you. Lung Ruoxua said to her cute beasts with a light smile. Hee master, don't worry. Well, definitely let him have an unforgettable memory, Feng Zhan promised with a naughty smile. Okay, Song Di, you can leave. Lung Ruoxua nodded with satisfaction, and then said to Song Di and the others. Yes. Song Di and the others obediently gave up their seats and left the venue to the cute, but actually scheming and ruthless little beasts. They knew that they couldn't just look at the appearance of beasts since they knew their Mississippi. Haha. Do you think these little beasts can deal with me? I'm a mystic supremacy. Wu Gong couldn't help laughing when he saw the dozens of small and cute beasts surrounding him. He could kick these little things away with a kick. How could they be his match? Hey, didn't anyone teach you not to underestimate your enemy? Charm reminded very elegantly, killing intent flashing in its purple eyes. Underestimate your enemy? I can kick your little things away with a single kick. How can you be worthy of being my enemies? Wu Gong said with contempt. You want to kick us away with a single kick? How big must your foot be? Wu Gong, if you can't kick us away, every beast of ours will trample you into meat paste. Charm said without anger, a faint smile hanging on its fluffy little face. Charm, cut the crap with him. Let's attack. Feng Zhan said impatiently. What's the rush? Didn't I already attack? We can save trouble if we can destroy him with words. Charm said with a light smile. It was an intelligent beast. Fighting was too barbaric. It had to use more brains in the future. That makes sense. Let's anger him to death. Feng Zhan nodded in agreement. Infuriating. This is Darling's specialty. Darling said proudly. What are you so smug about? What's the point of living if you don't know how to anger people these days? Dazzle said very disdainfully. I don't know how to anger people. I just anger people to death directly, Ling said in distress, her tangled little face almost frowning. Get lost, the beasts roared in unison. Master, they were fierce to me. Tears welled up in Ling's eyes as she crawled into Lung Ruoxia's arms to seek comfort. Don't be scared. Lung Ruoxia comforted with 2 drops of cold sweat on her forehead. Alas, why were her beasts so cute? Beloved master, don't be fooled by this guy who likes to pretend to be pitiful. Darling jumped into Lung Ruoxia's arms and deliberately stepped on Ling under its claws to remind her. Damn fox, take your stinky feet away. It stinks. Ling couldn't help shouting. You damn snake, your feet are the stinky one. Darling roared furiously when it heard what Ling said. Could it be your butt? How long has it been since you washed it? Ling was stunned and couldn't help asking. You damn snake, don't frame me. I shower every day. Darling roared, so angry that the fur on its body stood up. Why are you still so dark if you shower every day? Ling pretended to be puzzled. Are you colorblind? I'm a purple fox, but that fellow is black. Darling pointed at Dazzle with its little paw. Oh, you haven't showered for too long. You can't shower anymore. Ling said. Do you still want to deal with Wugong? Lung Ruoxia asked with a headache as she listened to the conversation between the 2 beasts. Yes, Darling and Ling said hurriedly in unison, and ran back to the battlefield. Hey you dirty and stinky Wugong. I want to destroy you on behalf of Master. Ling roared with a thunderous aura. Little Wugong, I want to chop off your calves one by one so that you can't climb anymore. Darling said with a naughty smile. Darling, didn't you help him? How many pairs of shoes do you have to save if you cut off his legs? Confound said with disapproval, his cold eyes looking at Wugong nonstop. That's true. Then he'll keep his legs and chop off his claws, Darling said after some thought. Darling, is there a difference between Wugong's claws and legs? Feng Zhan asked doubtfully. I don't think so, Darling said with a chuckle, its expression very wretched. Damn it, are you done talking? Wugong felt blood rush to his head as he listened to the little beast's discussions. He couldn't control the anger in his body. Wait, let's discuss whether to chop off your claws or legs. Darling said calmly. Damn it, you're dead meat. Wugong roared in anger. Wait, could he wait? He would really be angered to death by these seemingly cute, but actually vicious little beasts. Wugong is going to kill the beasts. Everyone run. Darling suddenly shouted. Then the beasts cooperated and began to run around Wugong. Wugong was dizzy from them in a moment. Chapter 558. Boss owner, want to knock? To stop. Stop spinning. Wugong roared angrily. Boo. Damn it. Why were these beasts reacting so quickly? They were about to spin him unconscious before he could do anything. How could they be so shameless? We can't stop. You're going to kill us if we stop. Darling said as it ran, its fluffy little face full of fear. Stop. I won't kill you. Stop. Wugong couldn't take it anymore. Just run away. Why did they have to run around him? Well, stop if you ask us to. That's so embarrassing. Feng Zhan said coldly. He flew around Wugong and threw small flames at him from time to time. Damn it. What do I have to do to make you stop? Wugong asked in exasperation. He was about to be angered to death by these beasts. What's the benefit of stopping? Charm suddenly asked, the smile on its little face so devious. What benefits do you want? Wugong asked while suppressing his anger. We want money, a lot of money. Charm said without thinking. Alas, it knew that its master lacked money. There's a lot of money in this ring. I'll give it to you. Stop spinning it. Wugong took off the ring and handed it to Charm. He really couldn't take it anymore. Since you've paid, let's help you. Charm took the ring and said understandingly. What do you mean? Wugong asked doubtfully. He felt that something was amiss, but he quickly understood what the little white fox meant. Brothers, let's be agile and help him. Charm said to all the beasts. Yes, yes. The beasts nodded in unison, and began to use various means to leave an unforgettable memory for Wugong. You little liars. You lied to me. Wugong felt intense pain on his body and couldn't help cursing. Wugong, didn't you want us to stop? We stopped. Charm said innocently. Boo. They really stopped obediently. Charm, don't talk nonsense with this Wugong. Speaking of which, he has a lot of meat on him, and his skin is very thick. It's quite tiring to scratch him, Darling said with a displeased face. Boo. Its little claws were hurting from scratching. Stop scratching if you can't scratch him. We can teach him a lesson with a kick. Charm said after some thought. In fact, it didn't approve of using such primitive methods. However, it seemed that its master's beasts liked to use scratching. Alas, that was a method only low-level spirit beasts would use. Charm, that feeling is different, hee. Darling said with a chuckle. Do whatever you want. Charm said helplessly. Then it stood to the side elegantly to watch the commotion. Alas, this low-level method was not suitable for it. Charm didn't participate in the scratching army, but the other beasts were enough to make Wugong suffer. He was a mystic supremacy, but he was entangled by the small beasts and couldn't unleash his full strength. His body was covered in wounds in just a short while. Hee Wugong, take this. Darling was tired from scratching. It condensed the water attribute mystic energy in its body into a water ball, gathered it in its claws, and threw it at Wugong. With a splash, Wugong, who was unprepared, was drenched by the huge water ball. Moreover, the water attribute liquid quickly seeped into his wounds, making him want to bang his head against the wall. Hee Wugong, let me help you dry your clothes. Fengzhan said very kindly when he saw Wugong drenched in soup. He spat out a stream of southern spirit flame. Wugong's clothes were dried in the blink of an eye, but the flames on his body continued to burn. It's on fire. I'll help you. Darling said quickly, and threw water balls at Wugong one after another. However, its water ball failed to extinguish Fengzhan's southern spirit flame. Instead, it made Wugong into a drenched chicken. Then the flames on Wugong's body dried Darling's water ball. They repeated this process over and over again. Before long, Wugong fainted. Obviously, he fainted from anger. Lass, these beasts of yours are really good. The little old man, who had been watching the commotion by the side, wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Alas, these beasts were really too terrifying. Even the mystic supremacy fainted from their anger. Amazing. It's okay. Lung Ruoxua said with a smug smile. She knew very well what her beasts were capable of, so she was not surprised that they would make Wugong faint from anger. In fact, she felt that Wugong's endurance was too poor. What a useless mystic supremacy. Master, this is Wugong's storage ring. He's very poor and doesn't have much money. Charm jumped into Lung Ruoxua's arms and said with disdain. Lung Ruoxua took the ring, and threw it to Zheng En without looking at it. Master, this Wugong fainted. What should we do? Charm raised its little head and asked. This Wugong can't live anyway. Do as you see fit. Lung Ruoxua said with a malicious smile. Boss master, why don't we use him to fish? I know of a type of fish that likes powerhouses the most. Moreover, that kind of fish is also very delicious, the little peacock suggested. Are you talking about the golden sand fish? Icy, which had been sleeping, opened its eyes and asked. Yes, that kind of fish is very difficult to capture. However, it will be very easy to capture with this Wugong as bait, the little peacock explained. What are we waiting for? Let's go fishing quickly. Icy said impatiently. Golden sandfish were legendary delicacies. However, golden sandfish lived in the deep sea, and it was extremely difficult to capture them. And as Little Peacock said, it would be very easy to capture them if there was good bait. Hee, if it remembered correctly, golden sandfish seemed to like it the most. Chapter 559, Boss Owner, Want to knock? 3. You want to use the mystic supremacy as bait? Lung Ruoxua asked speechlessly. Poor Wugong. Why did he provoke her? Now he was in the hands of these gluttonous beasts. Alas! She felt some pity for Wugong. He's going to die anyway. Don't waste it. Icy said with a naughty smile. But isn't this too cruel? Lung Ruoxua asked uncertainly. She couldn't bear to. Little Snowy, you're too kind. Alas! You don't have to worry about this matter. Leave it to me, Icy said, taking on everything. Alright, I don't care anymore. But Wugong definitely can't live. Lung Ruoxua reminded. Yes. Don't worry. We will destroy him after fishing, Icy said with certainty. Little Icy, where are we going to fish the golden sandfish? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously. This kind of fish can only be found in the deep sea, Icy said. Then you're going to the sea. Is there a sea nearby? Lung Ruoxia's beautiful face was full of question marks. Yes, but it will take about 2 hours to fly there from Carefree City, Icy said after some thought. Boss Master, it won't take 2 hours with me around. 1 hour will be enough, the little peacock said. It was a super legendary beast, so its flying speed was naturally very fast. Then let's go. Lung Ruoxua said. She was also curious about the golden sandfish. Moreover, she wanted to know how Wugong was going to be bait. Let's go. Lung Ruoxua stored the beasts in the bracelet, tied Wugong with a rope, and sat on the little peacock's back. She said after everyone sat up. Empty, have you heard of the golden sandfish? Lung Ruoxua couldn't help asking on the way. I've eaten it once. It's indeed delicious. However, golden sandfish are fierce by nature and not easy to capture, Empty explained. Oh. Lung Ruoxua nodded. Last, the fish bones of the golden sandfish can be refined, the little old man said. Really? Lung Ruoxua said in surprise. Yes, that fish bone is very sharp. It's most suitable for refining knives, swords, and other weapons, the little old man said. This is the first time I've heard of it, Lung Ruoxua said doubtfully. However, she couldn't help thinking in her heart, could the knives and swords refined from fish bones be sturdy? After flying for about an hour, the little peacock brought everyone to a large blue sea. The sea was endless blue, beautiful and deep. Last, this sea is called the River of Gaze, one of the largest oceans in the boundless heaven continent. The resources inside are very abundant, but it's also very dangerous. The little old man explained while pointing at the sea. Oh, where are we going to fish the golden sandfish? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously. We have to go to the center of the sea. That's the deepest part of the sea, and also the golden sandfish's favorite place to live, Empty said. Little Peacock, bring us there. Lung Ruoxua ordered. Okay, Master. Sit tight. There are many sea beasts in this sea, the little peacock reminded. Yes. Lung Ruoxua nodded. The little peacock flew directly toward the center of the sea, seeing that everyone was ready. Master, you can let Wugong go, the little peacock said after flying to their destination. How do we put it down? Lung Ruoxua asked in puzzlement. Didn't fish have to have a fishing rod? Could they use a rope to fish? Boss Master, you just have to put Wugong in the sea. His blood will naturally attract the golden sandfish, the little peacock explained. The golden sandfish loved the smell of blood, especially the blood of the strong, so basically anyone who wanted to fish for the golden sandfish would use their blood as bait. However, fishing for the golden sandfish required a lot of blood, so not many people were willing to part with it. Oh, Lung Ruoxua understood. Miss, let me do this kind of strength work. Cheng Wu, who had recovered from the pill, said. Wugong. I didn't expect you to be bait one day. Cheng Wu felt relieved seeing the unconscious Wugong. Okay. Lung Ruoxua handed the rope to Cheng Wu, and then leaned in the freak's arms, preparing to watch the commotion. Cheng Wu brought Wugong's rope into the sea bit by bit. He held the other rope in his hand and lay on the little peacock's back, waiting for the fish to take the bait. Soon, Wugong's blood flowed into the sea from his wounds. Cheng Wu raised Wugong into the air to prevent him from bleeding too much and contaminating the sea. Is this little blood enough? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously. It should be about time. If it's not enough, let it out later. Cheng Wu said with a smile. It wasn't his blood anyway, so his heart didn't ache. If you see the golden sand fish later, you have to move quickly. Empty reminded them. The golden sand fish were very cunning, and they might not be able to capture it even if they were attracted by the blood. This was also one of the reasons why the golden sand fish were difficult to capture. Yes, yes. Song Di and the others nodded repeatedly. They had only heard of golden sand fish, and had never eaten them because they couldn't bear to part with their blood. Boo! Why was that fish's preferences so different? After a while, there was still no movement on the dark blue sea. Cheng Wu took out a dagger and stabbed Wugong with it, bleeding him. That bit of blood isn't enough, Icy said calmly with its eyes narrowed. The taste of golden sand fish was unique, and it didn't like the blood of non-powerful people. Moreover, it had to be a human powerhouse. Therefore, very few people were willing to use their blood to fish for the golden sand fish, because it was very likely that they would die from excessive blood loss before they could fish. Not enough? Cheng Wu stabbed Wugong a few more times, waking him up from the pain. Where are we? What are you doing? Wugong looked at his surroundings and asked fearfully. Chapter 560. Boss Owner, want to knock? 4. Can't you tell? This is the sea. Cheng Wu gloated. Thanks to Wugong, he actually had the chance to taste the legendary golden sand fish. He really didn't know if he should thank him or anger him to death. I know. I'm asking what you want. Wugong asked fearfully. Boo! Couldn't he tell that this was the sea? He wasn't stupid. We're fishing, Cheng Wu said calmly. Fishing? Then why did you tie me up? Wugong asked gloomily. He was tied up like a dumpling. He couldn't run even if he wanted to. Ooh, what rope was that? He couldn't break it. You're bait. What if you run away without being tied up? Cheng Wu said matter-of-factly. Fish bait. What fish do you want to fish? Wugong asked in disbelief. Damn it, these people actually used him as bait. Ooh. He had a bad feeling that they weren't catching good fish. We want to fish for the golden sand fish. Have you heard of it? Cheng Wu asked with a smile. Golden sand fish. No, I don't want to be bait. Let go of me quickly, or I won't let you go. Wugong roared excitedly. Ooh, golden sand fish. He might not be able to fish them even if he released all his blood. You are now our prisoner, and you have no choice but to be willing, understand? Cheng Wu reminded kindly. This coward only dared to treat these mystic masters like them. He actually didn't even have the strength to fight back against those beasts that called themselves Mississippi Mystic Supremacies. How embarrassing. You. I'm the vice president of the Mystic Association headquarters. You actually dare to treat me like this. Do you still want to survive on the boundless heaven continent? How ridiculous. Wugong threatened without blinking. Haha, little Wugong. Do you really think you're still the vice president of the High and Mighty Mystic Association? You're just our captive now, Song Di said with a face full of mockery. He's too noisy. Lung Ruoxua narrowed her beautiful eyes with slight displeasure. My young miss said you're too noisy. Stay in the water. Cheng Wu threw Wugong into the sea after speaking. I won't let you go. Hurry up and pull me up. I don't know how to swim. Wugong kept flapping in the sea while shouting. Little Wugong, be good and learn how to swim in the sea yourself. We'll pull you up when we catch the golden sand fish. Cheng Wu promised. I don't want to. I don't want to. Wugong cried out in a sorry state, his voice becoming lower and lower. Cheng Wu, is he dead? Lung Ruoxua couldn't help asking curiously when she saw that Wugong was silent. Miss, a mystic supremacy won't die so easily. He's pretending to be dead. Cheng Wu said in realization. Oh, empty. Why hasn't the golden sand fish taken the bait yet? Is Wugong's blood too stinky? Don't those fish like it? Lung Ruoxua guessed. She despised Wugong in her heart. Why did he do so many bad things for no reason? He stinked the blood and didn't even bite the fish. Swear, you have to be patient when fishing. The golden sand fish won't be precious if it takes the bait so easily. Empty comforted helplessly. Oh, fishing isn't my thing. Take your time fishing. I'll sleep for a while, Lung Ruoxue said impatiently. She closed her eyes directly after speaking. There's movement. Bring Wugong up quickly. Icy, which was pretending to sleep with its eyes closed, suddenly opened them. Okay. Cheng Wu hurriedly pulled the unconscious Wugong out of the sea when he heard Icy. After a while, the waves on the sea rolled, and huge black shadows quickly emerged from the sea. Hurry up and do it. Empty hurriedly sent a voice transmission after seeing the shadows of the fish. At the same time, he released threads of mystic power in his hand and stabbed into the bodies of the fish. In the blink of an eye, he brought the fish to the surface of the sea. Schwer, quickly gather the fish. Empty ordered. At the same time, his hands did not stop. The others also mimicked Empty and condensed their mystic energy into a line, piercing into the bodies of the fish, and fished the golden sand fish up easily. Okay. Lung Ruoxue had long opened her beautiful eyes and looked at the scene on the sea. At the same time, with a thought, she stored the huge fish into the bracelet. Everyone worked together for nearly an hour, and the golden sand fish that were attracted were all in their pockets. Then everyone left the sea happily with the little peacock. The little peacock brought Lung Ruoxue and the others to a remote mountain, and descended. Master, is this place okay? The little peacock asked. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded after looking around. These fish are really beautiful. Lung Ruoxue took out a few golden sand fish from the bracelet and praised. The golden sand fish were very huge, about 10 meters in length. Moreover, their entire body was golden, and even their eyes were golden. She really couldn't understand why these fish liked to stay in the deep sea. Wouldn't their golden appearance be easily discovered by enemies? Schwer, these fish are very beautiful but also very fierce. Apart from the sea beasts, no creatures in the sea are their match. Moreover, they live in groups, so even sea beasts won't provoke them easily, she said calmly after seeing Lung Ruoxue's thoughts. Oh, what do you intend to do with this fish? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. She didn't want to eat fish caught with Wugong's blood. Haha, of course we're eating. Schwer, don't think too much. Golden sand fish are rare delicacies. Empty said with a smile. But I really don't want to eat fish caught by Wugong as bait. Lung Ruoxue said hesitantly. Lass, golden sand fish have to be fished with blood, so you really don't have to care too much who you use, the little old man comforted. Little Snowy, the golden sand fish are very clean, but only the smell of blood will lure them up from the bottom of the sea. In fact, they are all vegetarians, Icy explained. Chapter 561. Boss Owner, want to knock? 5. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. Fish that were attracted by blood were actually vegetarians. Was this possible? Schwer, the main food of the golden sand fish is sea grass, Empty said. Sea grass? Are there enough sea grass in the sea for them to eat? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. How much sea grass did they have to eat for a meal looking at the size of the golden sand fish? Haha, Schwer, it will definitely be enough. Empty said with a happy smile. Schwer, we won't eat if you don't want to, the freak said. He didn't believe that this golden sand fish would be better than the fish in Schwer's space. Okay, eat. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. To be honest, she was not very interested in the golden sand fish. Moreover, she agreed to use Wugong as bait to prank him, hee. Miss, are you really not eating? I heard that this fish is very delicious. Cheng Wu couldn't help asking. Yes, I'm not too interested in this fish. Eat. Lung Ruoxue said. Then she pulled the freak to sit beside Wugong, and released her beasts. Master. Beloved master. The beasts immediately stuck to Lung Ruoxue as soon as they emerged. They acted coquettishly and rubbed against her. Schwer, what are you thinking about? The freak asked curiously when he saw Schwer staring at Wugong thoughtfully. Freak, what do you think we should do with this thing? Lung Ruoxue asked. Isn't his fate destined? There's no other choice. The freak said with certainty. People like Wu Gong were a scourge even if they were left alive, so eliminating them was the best way. Okay. Feng Zhan, I'll leave Wu Gong to you. Lung Ruoxue nodded, and then said to Feng Zhan, Okay. Master, leave this bad thing to me. Feng Zhan patted his chest with his small wings and promised. With that, he spat out his southern spirit flame. Immediately Wu Gong, who was unconscious and on the verge of death, was covered in raging flames. Lan Ming, let's go to the Mystic Association headquarters after eating the fish. Lung Ruoxue looked at Lan Ming after settling Wu Gong. Little Snowy, have you really decided? Lan Ming was a little depressed. He couldn't finish speaking. Little Lan Lan, don't tell me you think I'm joking? Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. I'm only a mystic monarch. Those elders won't submit to me. Lan Ming found an excuse. Boo. He really wasn't prepared to take over the Mystic Association headquarters. Why did Little Snowy have to force him? Kill whoever isn't convinced. Let's see who still dares to be unconvinced. Lung Ruoxue said very ruthlessly, not hiding the killing intent in her beautiful eyes at all. Alas! Lan Ming sighed heavily and accepted his fate. He knew that Little Snow wouldn't change her mind easily, so he could only be chased away. After Empty and the others finished eating the golden sandfish, Lung Ruoxue stored the beasts in the bracelet, and everyone set off together. The little peacock brought Lung Ruoxue and the others to the Mystic Association headquarters. The Mystic Association headquarters was still tattered, but it could barely accommodate people after these few days of repair. At this moment, the elders of the Mystic Association headquarters were stationed here. Outside the tattered main door of the Mystic Association, the little peacock flew in the air and said hesitantly, Boss Master, should we knock? Why are you knocking on the door? Little peacock, we're here to challenge the hall. There's no need to be so polite. Lung Ruoxue smiled lightly and said nonchalantly. Her words definitely had the suspicion of teaching children bad things. Oh, the little peacock nodded to show that it understood. Ooh, it was a polite child. Boss Master would teach it badly. Little peacock quickly kicked the door open. Lung Ruoxue urged, her beautiful face full of impatience. Yes, Boss Master. The little peacock hesitated, but still obediently placed its claws on the door of the Mystic Association headquarters, which was already on the verge of collapse. Immediately, there was a bang, and the door of the Mystic Association headquarters shattered into pieces. This door is too fragile. The little peacock said awkwardly after doing something bad. Hee, little peacock did well. Lung Ruoxue praised as she caressed its fluffy little head. Hee, as long as Boss Master is happy. The little peacock said with a silly smile. It was so pleased to receive the praise of its Boss Master. Who are you? How dare you cause trouble in the Mystic Association headquarters? Dozens of mystics ran out of the Mystic Association headquarters and roared loudly after the door shattered. However, Lung Ruoxue and the others ignored them. Hey, I'm asking you a question. A mystic couldn't help but question. However, no one bothered with them. Who are you? How dare you cause trouble in the Mystic Association headquarters? The mystic roared furiously, seeing that he was ignored. This Mystic Association headquarters is really broken now. Lung Ruoxue looked at the Mystic Association headquarters with her beautiful eyes, and said with a light smile. Yes, the former Mystic Association headquarters was dazzling and majestic. Moreover, these mystics from the Mystic Association headquarters are not very strong now. Empty said with slight disdain, his handsome face full of contempt. Who are you exactly? How dare you cause trouble in the Mystic Association headquarters? The mystic suppressed his anger and questioned again. Causing trouble? No, we're here to challenge the hall. Lung Ruoxue finally had time to deal with the mystic, and said very kindly. Is there a difference? The mystic asked foolishly, his ordinary face full of confusion. Of course there is. Causing trouble is very informal, but the kick house is very formal, meaning that we are here to officially cause trouble. Lung Ruoxue explained as if she was speaking a tongue twister. Damn it, isn't it the same? The mystic finally reacted and couldn't help shouting in anger, knowing that he had been fooled. You're too unperturbed. No wonder you're only a great mystic. Alas! With your strength, you can only run errands in the Mystic Association headquarters. Lung Ruoxue said in realization, her beautiful face full of sympathy. Chapter 562. The divination is everywhere. 1. What does this have to do with you? The mystic roared in exasperation. This woman cared too much. So what if he was just an errand boy? Couldn't he? Of course it's not my fault. However, let me tell you some news. The Mystic Association headquarters is about to change owners, so you're probably about to lose your job, Lung Ruoxue whispered mysteriously. How is that possible? Our Vice President Wu is a mystic supremacy. The mystic emphasized. He didn't believe Lung Ruoxue at all. Alas, your Vice President Wu ran away with someone else. I won't care about you anymore. Lung Ruoxue sighed helplessly. Ran away? With who? Another mystic couldn't help asking. Is there a need to ask? Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes and looked at the mystic like she was an idiot. Could it be with Madame Sun? The mystics guessed in whispers, completely ignoring Lung Ruoxue and the others. Lung Ruoxue was a little speechless seeing the mystics who were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, just now discussing Wu Gong's gossip. Alas! These mystics were really out of line. Moreover, their imagination was quite rich. Poor Wu Gong. He died and was wronged. Empty whispered with a light smile. I didn't wrong him. These people from the Mystic Association are too imaginative, Lung Ruoxue said innocently. Alas! She couldn't tell these people that Wu Gong was dead, right? That would be a huge blow to them. Yes, gossip is everywhere. Empty sighed and said helplessly. Alas! He also realized that mystics were becoming more and more foolish these days. Yes, hey. Are you done discussing? We're here to challenge the hall. Hurry up and tell us what you think. Don't count on Wu Gong. Lung Ruoxue waited for a while, and couldn't help urging the mystics anxiously seeing that they were still talking nonstop. She still had to go back to sleep after settling the Mystic Association headquarters. Therefore, she didn't want to waste time. It's not convenient for the elders of the headquarters to see guests now. Come another day, the mystic said after some thought. Alas! He had to quickly inform the elders about Vice President Wu and the others running away. Moreover, these people seemed to have ill intentions, so he really didn't dare to provoke them. Uncomfortable to see guests? Why? Are there also times when those old men are inconvenient every month? Lung Ruoxue asked doubtfully. Haha, looks like it. The little old man laughed out loud without giving Lung Ruoxue any face when he heard this. The others couldn't help but chuckle softly. Of course not, the mystic quickly denied. This woman was too evil. She actually distorted his words. Wouldn't the elders skin him alive if they knew? What's so inconvenient about that? Anyway, we're here to challenge the school. Have you seen anyone who asks the challenger to come another day? Lung Ruoxue asked with a naughty smile. No, but... The mystic wanted to say something else but was interrupted by Lung Ruoxue. Go and notify them quickly since you don't have any. Of course, I have no objections if you choose to go and pass the message obediently after being beaten. Lung Ruoxue gave them 2 choices, and let them choose one themselves. Wait a moment. Well, inform the elders now, the mystic said fearfully. He was only a small great mystic. Why were these people giving him so much pressure? Yes, good. Those who know the facts are the best. Go quickly. I'll only give you 5 minutes, Lung Ruoxue reminded understandingly. Hurry up and inform the elders that someone is coming to challenge the hall. The mystic ordered the people beside him. He didn't want to go in to bear the nameless anger of those elders. Their menopause had arrived. Yes, a mystic answered and left the door. May I know your names? The mystic asked with a forced smile. Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue gave her name bluntly, and then looked at the mystic with a spurious smile. What about them? The mystic asked. In fact, he was a little surprised because he couldn't understand how this woman could be Lung Ruoxue. He had seen Lung Ruoxue when she participated in the Mystic Association headquarters competition, and she was not like this at all. However, he didn't dare to ask. You don't have to know about them, Lung Ruoxue said coldly and ignored the mystic. The mystic couldn't help wiping the cold sweat off his forehead, his heart racing. Did he really want to know? He was just afraid that he wouldn't be able to explain when the elders asked. Since Lung Ruoxue didn't say anything, the mystics from the Mystic Association naturally didn't dare to speak either. The atmosphere immediately fell to an icy cold point. Elders, please enter. A moment later, the mystic who went to pass on the message returned and broke the slightly depressed atmosphere. Let's go in. Lung Ruoxue turned to everyone. Okay. Everyone nodded, and then walked into the Mystic Association headquarters, with Lung Ruoxue. A mystic led the way and led Lung Ruoxue and the others to a side hall of the Mystic Association headquarters. This was now the headquarters' temporary office. After Lung Ruoxue and the others walked into the side hall, they found more than a dozen elders sitting in the hall. Each of the elders released their auras in an attempt to take them down a notch. Is this how the elders treat their guests? Lung Ruoxue said coldly with a light smile. Upon seeing the provocation of the elders of the Mystic Association, Cheng Wu and the others naturally released their mystic energy, unwilling to be outdone. For a time, the two sides began to compete quietly. Lung Ruoxue, the freak, Empty, and the little old man each found a seat and sat down calmly. The competition between experts was usually only for an instant. So soon, the elders of the Mystic Association headquarters were unable to withstand the might of Cheng Wu and the others. Although they were also mystic sovereigns, how could the auras of these elders, who lived like princes and princesses all day, compare to Cheng Wu and the others who were in life and death tests almost every day? Chapter 563. The divination is everywhere, too. Miss Lung, we don't have any ill intentions. The first elder of the Mystic Association headquarters said apologetically after a while and secretly swallowed the blood in his mouth. Oh, Lung Ruoxue answered lightly and gave Cheng Wu and the others a look. Cheng Wu and the others immediately retracted their auras, and the pressure in the side hall immediately returned to normal. May I know why Miss Lung and the others came to the headquarters? The first elder pretended to be confused and asked. He couldn't help being surprised as he looked at Lung Ruoxue. Alas! He heard that Vice President Wu had been sending people to capture Lung Ruoxue, but he didn't expect her to come knocking on his door. Didn't the mystic tell you just now? I'm here to challenge the hall, Lung Ruoxue said bluntly. I don't understand what Miss Lung means. The first elder said with a smile. What I mean is that I want the Mystic Association to change the person in charge. Lung Ruoxue said very bluntly. Old fox, do you still want to pretend to be ignorant now? Miss Lung, our president has been in seclusion for many years. The vice president is in charge of the headquarters now, so we have to obtain the vice president's permission to change people, First Elder said awkwardly. First Elder, don't think I don't know that you want to replace Wu Gong now. Lung Ruoxue exposed the first elder's lie rudely. Did this old man really think she didn't know what they were thinking? She didn't believe that this old man would support Wu Gong after being locked up by Wu Gong for so long. Miss Lung, this is an internal matter of our Mystic Association. You might be a mystic, but you are not qualified to participate in the affairs of the association headquarters yet. The first elder could only put on the dignity of the first elder, seeing that he couldn't dodge anymore. First elder, you're mistaken. I don't want to get involved in the affairs of your headquarters. I just want you to recommend someone, Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Who do you want to recommend, Miss Lung? The first elder asked very politely. Lan Ming, he's the president of the Windless City's Mystic Association, and the disciple of your president. It's only right and proper for him to be the person in charge of your headquarters. Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. Lan Ming? How is he qualified? He's just a mystic monarch. An elder immediately objected after hearing Lung Ruoxue's words. They had debated for so long before deciding on the final candidate. Now it actually benefited Lan Ming. If he's not qualified, then who is? Lung Ruoxue asked with a spurious smile. These damn old men were really shameless. Must they force her to use force? There are many people more qualified than Lan Ming in the Mystic Association headquarters. How can a mystic monarch like him manage the headquarters? The other mystics won't be convinced then, the elder said indignantly. Will the other mystics not be convinced, or will you not be? Lung Ruoxua asked coldly, the killing intent in her beautiful eyes so fast that others couldn't capture it. Of course the mystics won't be convinced, the elder said stubbornly, his expression a little unnatural. Let Lan Ming be the acting president. Anyone who isn't convinced, step forward if you have the guts. Lung Ruoxia's beautiful eyes glanced indifferently at the elders in the side hall. The elders looked at each other, but no one was willing to take the lead because they could tell that Lung Ruoxua definitely came with ill intentions. Moreover, they recognized Du Min, so they didn't dare to act rashly at all. Seems like you all don't have guts. Lung Ruoxua couldn't help mocking when she saw that no one dared to say anything after waiting for a while. Her beautiful eyes even glanced at the elder who spoke just now. I mean, there will be mystics objecting. The elder couldn't help quibbling because he was very embarrassed by Lung Ruoxia's gaze. Oh, why don't you call the mystics from the headquarters or Carefree City in? I'll see who's against it, Lung Ruoxua said casually. This isn't too convenient, right? The elder said with cold sweat flowing down his body. What's so inconvenient about that? Hurry up and call for help. I'll wait for them here, Lung Ruoxua said with very firm will. Don't expect me to leave obediently if these old foxes don't settle the matter for me today. Miss Lung, our Mystic Association is the largest association in the Boundless Heaven continent. Therefore, choosing the acting president can't be too casual. First Elder braced himself and said, is it very casual to let Lan Ming be the acting president? First Elder, are you unwilling to let Lan Ming be the acting president, or are you talking about other mystics? Lung Ruoxua asked impatiently. She was already a little annoyed that these old things were beating around the bush with her. It seemed that some people had to use force, or they would not learn their lesson. The first elder was speechless. Alas! He couldn't say that they already had a candidate, but it wasn't Lan Ming. First elder, you would probably have been locked up by Wugong if the Mystic Association hadn't been blown up, right? Shouldn't you be thanking me? Lung Ruoxua said lightly with an intriguing smile on her lips. Damn it, did you blow up the Mystic Association headquarters? Another elder was furious and couldn't help asking loudly after hearing her words. Isn't this Wugong's lackey, Elder Hao? Why, have your injuries healed? I heard you were beaten up by a ghost because you did too many bad things. Lung Ruoxua didn't answer him but said sympathetically, damn it, how dare you blow up the Mystic Association headquarters? We won't let you go. Elder Hao couldn't help shouting angrily when he saw his embarrassing matter being brought up again. Did I say that I blew up the headquarters? You idiot! Lung Ruoxua said speechlessly with faint contempt in her beautiful eyes. You were the one who said it just now, but you don't admit it now. Elder Hao was so angry. Damn Lung Ruoxua. How could she be so shameless? How despicable. Elder Hao, looks like you've really been beaten, silly. I only said that the first elder should thank me. I didn't say that I would be the one to blow up the headquarters. Lung Ruoxua quibbled. Chapter 564. The divination is everywhere. 3. Why you, first elder, you can't let Lung Ruoxua go. Elder Hao was so angry that his entire body was trembling, and he stammered a little to the first elder. Elder Hao, the first elder isn't your ally. You should worry about your outcome. Lung Ruoxua reminded kindly. Alas! She was really impressed by Elder Hao's hindsight. Didn't this old man think that the great elder would let Wugong go if he died? I am an elder of the Mystic Association headquarters. Elder Hao was a little scared after hearing Lung Ruoxia's words. Yes. The first elder had always been on bad terms with Wugong. The first elder and the others were originally locked up by Wugong, but after the incident at the headquarters, Wugong released the few elders he locked up because he lacked manpower. The first thing they did after coming out was to chase Wugong off the stage. Wugong was in a terrible fix because of Lung Ruoxua, so he had no time to deal with the first elder and the others. First elder, Are you really unwilling to let Lan Ming be the acting president? Lung Ruoxue ignored Elder Hao's final struggle and said directly to the first elder, we need to discuss. The first elder knew that Lung Ruoxue was threatening him, but he was helpless at all. Alas! In terms of strength, all of them combined were not Lung Ruoxue and the other's match. Okay, I'll give you half an hour. If you can't give me a satisfactory result in half an hour, don't blame me for being nasty, Lung Ruoxue said, half warningly and half threatening. She didn't want to continue wasting time with these stinky old men. Since they didn't give her face after discussing it nicely, she had to attack. Miss Lung, half an hour is too short. The first elder couldn't help but say. Is that so? Then 10 minutes will do. Lung Ruoxue said very seriously. She hated others bargaining with her. Half an hour it is. The first elder was helpless. Then what are we waiting for? Hurry up and discuss it. 2 minutes have passed, Lung Ruoxue urged, her beautiful face full of impatience. Miss Lung, please wait for a moment. The first elder gathered the elders present in a corner and began to discuss. Lass, will they agree? The little old man whispered curiously. From the looks of the first elder, they seem to have a suitable candidate to replace Wu Gong. They have no other choice, Lung Ruoxue said confidently. Don't blame me for being ruthless if they don't agree. Lung Ruoxue had already made up her mind that she would attack if these old men refused to give her face. The elders of the Mystic Association headquarters who were discussing this in the corner were all depressed. First elder, what should we do now? An elder in the corner couldn't help asking. He had seen Lung Ruoxue in the Mystic Association headquarters competition last time, but she was only an elementary mystic the last time he saw her. It hadn't been long since then, and she was actually already a mystic monarch with so many mystic sovereigns protecting her. Alas! He had to suspect that Lung Ruoxue was from the Lung family now. Alas! Tell me first. The first elder sighed and said helplessly. He didn't expect Lung Ruoxue to be so domineering. It seemed like he had to make a decision today. Fortunately, most of the elders present were his people, so he could still influence their thoughts. First elder, if we really fight, we're probably not Lung Ruoxue and the others' match, another elder said. He was still relatively rational among the elders. In fact, he felt that there was nothing wrong with letting Lan Ming be the acting president. After all, Lan Ming was the president's disciple. There's no need for you to say that. Even a fool can see it, another elder said with contempt. Would they have endured so much if Lung Ruoxue didn't have so many powerful subordinates by her side? Elder Lu, Elder Wang, stop arguing. Now isn't the time for us to coax each other, first elder said with some displeasure. He couldn't help being a little depressed as he looked at the elders in front of him and stole glances at the mystic sovereigns beside Lung Ruoxue. Alas! It was no different from not knowing. It was a shock when compared. Why were the mystic sovereigns beside Lung Ruoxue all stronger than the elders of the headquarters? He couldn't understand. The people the headquarters had always absorbed had always been the top. But why was it like this now? First elder, I think there's nothing wrong with letting Lan Ming be the acting president. Elder Lu said bluntly after hearing the first elder's words. How can that be? Lan Ming is only a mystic monarch. Our headquarters has been established for thousands of years, and there has never been a precedent of a mystic monarch in charge. Wouldn't the major families laugh at us if news of this were to spread? Elder Wang immediately objected. What's there to laugh about? Lan Ming is the president's disciple, and his aptitude can be considered top-notch. I believe that it won't be long before he can advance to mystic sovereign, so I support him as the acting president. Elder Lu took the lead to express his attitude. I support you too. Many elders began to agree after seeing Elder Liu's stance. I object, Elder Wang said in disapproval. Since most of them are supportive, let Lan Ming be the acting president of our headquarters. This way, we can have an explanation with the president when he comes out of seclusion. The first elder said resolutely and looked at the second elder, who had been silent, with a slight apology. The elder consortium originally chose the second elder, but now, first elder, Lan Ming can't convince the public at all by being the acting president of our headquarters. Moreover, what will become of the second elder by letting a young brat be the acting president of the headquarters? Elder Wang said without giving up. He had nothing to say if the second elder was the acting president. However, he was unwilling to let a young brat ride on his head. So be it. Don't use me as an excuse. I have no objections to Lan Ming being the acting president. The second elder, who had been silent, said lazily. His shrewd eyes kept sneaking glances at Lung Ruoxue. However, he realized that he couldn't see through this young girl at all. Elder Wang, second elder has no objections. Do you still object? The first elder asked lightly. Chapter 565. The divination is everywhere for. How can I have any objections if the second elder doesn't mind? Elder Wang said helplessly. In fact, he despised the second elder, who he didn't dare to fight for. However, his status was higher than his, so he could only hold his anger in. First elder looked at Elder Wang with a slightly deeper meaning, and then strode to Lung Ruoxue and said, Miss Lung, we've discussed it. We agree to let Lan Ming be the acting president of the headquarters. First elder, your decision is wise, Lung Ruoxue praised. In fact, she had already seen through the thoughts of these elders through baby's mind reading just now. Therefore, she was very clear about those elders with ill intentions, and she did not intend to stay behind. Miss Lung, may I know where Lan Ming is now? The first elder searched among Lung Ruoxue and the others but found no trace of Lan Ming, and couldn't help asking curiously. First elder, I'm here, Lan Ming said speechlessly. Alas! Little Snowy's appearance-changing pill's effects were really extraordinary. No one could recognize him. You're Lan Ming? Are you disfigured? The first elder asked in disbelief and couldn't help rubbing his eyes. In his heart, Lan Ming was a rare, peerless, handsome man. How did he become so ugly? No. I was afraid that Wu Gong would find out, so I changed my appearance. 2 drops of cold sweat hung on Lan Ming's forehead as he explained. Alas! The first elder's imagination was really rich. He was impressed. Oh, it's good that you're not disfigured. The first elder was relieved. In fact, he had a good impression of Lan Ming. He would probably have considered letting Lan Ming be the acting president long ago, if not for Lan Ming's strength being too low. Little Lan, eat this. Lung Ruoxue took out a pill and handed it to Lan Ming after hearing their conversation. Oh. Lan Ming took the pill and directly sent it into his mouth, waiting for the medicinal effects to take effect. Time passed slowly. Which one of you isn't afraid of death? How dare you cause trouble in the headquarters? Suddenly, a furious roar sounded in everyone's ears. Immediately after, a beggar covered in dirt barged in angrily. Lung Ruoxue looked at this uninvited beggar speechlessly and was puzzled. Who was this old man? When did such a person appear in the Mystic Association? With this in mind, her gaze couldn't help turning to the first elder. Don't look at me like that. I don't know this person either, the first elder said silently with his gaze. Elder Tsong's face was full of confusion. He was very sure that he didn't know this person. Why did this person look more anxious than him, the first elder? He couldn't understand no matter what. Who dares to cause trouble in the headquarters? The dirty beggar couldn't help shouting when he saw that no one was paying attention to him. However, no one bothered with him. May I ask what's the matter? First elder asked helplessly. Alas! He was the first elder, so he had to stick his head out sometimes. Of course that is something. I heard that someone came to the headquarters to cause trouble, so I came to support you. Who's here to cause trouble? Come out and show me if you have the guts. The beggar looked at everyone present with a deep gaze and said with full force, I'm sorry, senior. You're mistaken. No one came to the headquarters to cause trouble. The first elder sighed softly and said speechlessly, Alas! He really didn't know where this old man came from. Moreover, he couldn't see through the old beggar's strength, so his words were very respectful. You call me senior? The old beggar was stunned, and then he laughed hysterically. The first elder was a little displeased. This beggar was stronger than him. What was wrong with calling him senior? Did he have to smile like this? Your master? At this moment, Lan Ming, who had been observing by the side for a long time, asked uncertainly. His face that had recovered its original appearance was full of question marks. Little Minger, why are you here? When did you come? The old beggar asked in puzzlement. He clearly didn't see Lan Ming just now. Where did Lan Ming come from? You're really my master. Lan Ming was a little speechless. In his memory, his master cared the most about appearance. Why had he become like this now? Nonsense, how can I be fake? The old beggar roared angrily. It was one thing that the first elder didn't recognize him, but even his disciple didn't recognize him. Was his current image really that bad? What does my master like to eat the most? Lan Ming still didn't quite believe this beggar, and couldn't help asking probingly. I can't tell you, the old beggar said with an awkward expression. He kept staring at his disciple. Stinky little Minger, you're really asking for it. Little Snowy, he should be my master. Lan Ming looked at Lung Ruoxue. What do you mean by should be? Am your master? The old beggar roared with some dissatisfaction when he heard Lan Ming's words. So this is how your master is. He's really not as famous as he looks. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Lass, don't be mistaken. I'm not like this. I just haven't showered for too long. The old beggar said unpleasantly. Little Minger was with them, so they should be his disciples' friends. He knew that he had embarrassed little Minger. He hoped that this girl was not his future disciple's wife. Otherwise, he would really be too ashamed to see her in the future. His imagination began to run wild. Oh, I understand, Lung Ruoxue said very understandingly. She really didn't expect this beggar to be the master that Lan Ming always mentioned. Since the president of the Mystic Association headquarters had already emerged from seclusion, there should be nothing for her here. However, she wanted to know who told him that someone came to the Mystic Association headquarters to cause trouble. It's good that you understand. The old beggar smiled happily. As expected of his disciple's friend, he was so understanding. President, you're out of seclusion? First elder, who finally recovered from his daze, asked in disbelief. The president's current image was really too unexpected. Chapter 566. I don't just bite anyone one. Nonsense. How can I stand here if I don't come out of seclusion? The old beggar glared and roared with some displeasure. President, why didn't you take a bath first after coming out of seclusion? If other mystics see you like this, it will damage your image, the first elder reminded. If I didn't hear that someone came to the Mystic Association headquarters to cause trouble, and was worried that you couldn't handle it, would I have run over anxiously as soon as I emerged from seclusion? You heartless fellows actually dare to despise me. The old beggar complained with a wronged face, tears seeming to emerge in his deep black eyes. The first elder didn't know what to say. When did he despise the president? How could the president wrong him? First elder, where are the troublemakers? The old beggar asked in puzzlement. He hadn't seen anyone causing trouble even after coming for a long time. Damn it, how dare they lie to him? President, didn't I say that no one is causing trouble? The first elder said helplessly. But Elder Hao told me that someone will cause trouble. He shouldn't dare to lie to me, right? The old beggar's face was full of question marks. Did Elder Hao tell you? First elder asked while suppressing his anger. No wonder he hadn't seen Elder Hao. He had gone to look for the president. Yes. I happened to meet him when I came out of seclusion. He told me what happened recently, and said that someone happened to be here to cause trouble now, so I rushed over. The old beggar explained, his black face full of anger because he didn't expect that Elder Hao would actually dare to lie to him. How ridiculous! This was not deliberately embarrassing him. Master, the people who are causing trouble Elder Hao mentioned should be us, Lan Ming said helplessly. However, he gritted his teeth in hatred for Elder Hao in his heart. Damn Elder Hao, he actually wanted his master to deal with them. He really had ulterior motives. Little Minger, what happened? The old beggar was confused. However, as the president of the Mystic Association, he still had intelligence. Now he knew that he had almost been used. Master, this sentence isn't clear either. You should go and freshen up first. I'll tell you later, Lan Ming reminded. Alas, Master's current appearance was really too damaging to his image. Okay. But where is my room now? The old beggar asked in distress. He didn't expect the headquarters to be destroyed like this after only a few years of seclusion. President, I'll bring you there. The first elder said awkwardly. Alas, it would always end up like this. He really didn't have the face to see the president. Okay, bring me there quickly, the old beggar urged. He really couldn't stand his dirty appearance now. President, please follow me. The first elder brought the old beggar to his temporary room. After the first elder and the old beggar left, Lung Ruoxue called Cheng Wu to her side and whispered a few words to him. Then Cheng Wu left the side hall with Song Di and Hazy. Shuer, where did they go? Empty couldn't help asking curiously after Cheng Wu and the others left. To deal with Elder Hao, Lung Ruoxue said very calmly. Oh, Empty answered lightly. He was not surprised by Shuer's decision. On the contrary, he would feel that it was abnormal if Shuer let Elder Hao go. Little Snowy, let me out. Suddenly, Icy sent Lung Ruoxue a voice transmission. Okay, Lung Ruoxue answered. She released Icy from the bracelet with a thought. After Icy emerged, it found a relatively comfortable position in Lung Ruoxue's arms and lay down. Its ice-blue eyes kept glancing at the elders in the hall with a spurious smile. The expressions of the elders in the side hall became very strange when they saw the puppy that suddenly appeared. Some even revealed fear. Lung Ruoxue caressed Icy's soft fur and observed the elders' reactions. She couldn't help being a little helpless about Icy's bad taste. Alas, little Icy's power was really unparalleled. Look at how scared those elders were the moment it appeared. She really felt some pity for those poor old men now. Why did you let this puppy out? Elder Wang, who was already a little guilty, was so scared that his legs were trembling and his words were a little shaky when he saw Icy. I'm happy. Why? Can't I? Lung Ruoxue glanced at Elder Wang and said irritably. Hee, don't be afraid. I won't bully you, provided you have to be good. Icy comforted very kindly, its fluffy little face hanging with an amiable smile. Then why did you come out? Elder Wang wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and stammered. Boo. There was no one in Carefree City who didn't know about the glorious deeds of this puppy. Mystic sovereigns couldn't even last a round in its hands, so he instinctively felt afraid after seeing this puppy. Boo. The pressure this puppy gave him was really too great. Moreover, he believed that if Lung Ruoxue revealed this puppy from the start, no one would definitely dare to oppose Lan Ming becoming the acting president of the headquarters. I want to come out for some air, Icy whispered aggrievedly. Tears flashed in its ice-blue eyes as if it was about to cry. It's good to take a breather. Welcome out for a breather. Elder Lu hurriedly coaxed when he saw this. He kept staring at Elder Wang, who almost made this puppy cry, with his eyes, cursing Elder Wang half to death in his heart. Yes. Coming out to take a breather is good for the body. Elder Wang hurriedly echoed, but he was extremely aggrieved in his heart. Boo. Why did that puppy love to cry so much? He didn't say anything. However, his mind became much more well-behaved after Icy came out. Yes, I've gained weight, Icy said, very displeased. Alas! It had been eating too well recently, and it had become a little round, so it had to come out to exercise. Otherwise, little Snow probably wouldn't be able to carry it in a few days. A little Icy, don't bite my master, Lan Ming pleaded worriedly, because he remembered little Icy saying before that it wanted to bite his master. Chapter 567. I don't just bite anyone too, depends on my mood. Icy said lightly. It came out to bite that old man. Otherwise, it would sleep in the space. Little Icy. Icy's tone made Lan Ming very worried. Little Lan, I won't bite him to death for your sake. Don't worry. Icy comforted her. Alas! It was so difficult to do things with acquaintances. It couldn't even bite people to its heart's content. Lan Ming didn't know what to say. It seemed like little Icy had already made up its mind. Ooh. Master. Take care, pray for yourself. Your disciple has already tried his best. The first elder and the old beggar returned to the side hall while Lan Ming was praying. Master. Lan Ming hurriedly called out when he saw his master in his memory. He secretly winked at his master, wanting him to be careful. However, the old beggar obviously didn't understand his disciple's intentions. Instead, he walked happily to Lung Ruoxue and the others and said, Hee hee, I was rude just now. This is the real me. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Yulin, the president of the Mystic Association headquarters. Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but exclaim in her heart as she looked at the old beggar who had washed up and looked brand new. People really rely on clothes. She didn't expect this old man to be a rare, peerless, handsome man. Yulin looked to be about 40 years old. He was handsome and had an extraordinary bearing. His aura was completely restrained, giving people a very amiable feeling. Miss Lung, I wonder if you and little Minger? Yulin asked curiously, the word gossip written on his handsome face. We're friends, Lung Ruoxue said speechlessly. Alas! Could this old man have any thoughts? It was best not to. Otherwise, his outcome would be tragic. Oh, just friends? Yulin asked stubbornly. Yes, maybe not even friends. Lung Ruoxue held the freak's arm and said lightly. That's too bad. Yulin's face was full of pity. Master. Lan Ming glared at his master with great dissatisfaction. Alas! When could his master have some foresight? He was really very helpless against his master's dullness. Why are you so loud? I'm not deaf. Yulin complained. Little Snowy, don't mind. My master likes to joke. Lan Ming ignored his master's complaint and looked at Lung Ruoxue and the freak apologetically. It's okay. Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile, her beautiful eyes looking at the freak comfortingly. She didn't want the freak to fly into a rage. Are you the president of the Mystic Association headquarters? Icy asked lazily in Lung Ruoxue's arms in order to ease the slightly awkward atmosphere, its ice blue eyes staring at Yulin. Yes, I am. Yulin replied honestly, even though he didn't know why the puppy in front of him was asking him this. Hee hee, I just want to confirm. Icy smiled maliciously. Then it opened its little mouth and bit Yulin's arm fiercely. Aha! Immediately, a heartbreaking scream spread through the entire side hall. The elders in the side hall looked at the puppy, which was biting the president's arm, in horror, and couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. Compared to the reactions of the elders, Lung Ruoxue and the others were much calmer. They watched this scene coldly, and no one spoke. After Yulin was bitten, he kept shaking his arm, wanting to shake the puppy off his arm. However, Icy didn't move at all. It only jumped away from the bloody arm after it had bitten enough. Icy returned to Lung Ruoxue's arms after biting her. It even closed its eyes to pretend to be asleep, as if everything that happened just now had nothing to do with it. Lung Ruoxue looked at Yulin's mangled arm, and then at the composed Icy. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down her forehead. Little Icy was really ruthless. Fortunately, the body of the mystic supremacy was sturdy enough. Otherwise, this arm would have been bitten off if it were anyone else. Master, are you okay? Lan Ming looked at the injury on his master's arm, and hurriedly handed him a pill and asked worriedly. Ooh, poor master. Little Icy's bite was really ruthless. You'll know if I'm okay after being bitten like this. Yulin took the pill and threw it directly into his mouth. He said angrily, his eyes staring at Lung Ruoxue pitifully, and he was even more resentful in his heart. Ooh, why didn't this dog tie itself up a little? How could it jump out and bite anyone casually? He didn't know if this dog was sick or not. Ooh, should he take an injection? His imagination began to run wild again. Master, I'm not the one who bit you. Lan Ming murmured aggrievedly and looked at Lung Ruoxue resentfully. Lung Ruoxue turned her head to the side, ignoring the pitiful gazes of the master and disciple. Miss Lung, your dog bit me. Tell me what to do. Yulin could only say bluntly, seeing Lung Ruoxue not react under his gaze. Oh, Lung Ruoxue answered lightly without any other reaction. That's it. Your dog bit me, Yulin said in disbelief. I know. You said it. Lung Ruoxua pretended to be stupid. Don't you have anything to say since you know? Your dog bit me, Yulin reminded. Alas, you're too careless. However, my little Icy won't bite just anyone. You must have provoked it. Lung Ruoxua said with a face full of regret, and irresponsibly pushed the blame to the unlucky Yulin. It's my first time seeing it today. How can I provoke it? Miss Lung, you can't be like this. You have to be responsible for your dog biting me. Yulin expressed very clearly. You can't pretend to be stupid. He wasn't someone who could be bitten by just anyone. How do you want me to take responsibility? Why don't I let you bite it too, so that you can call it even? Lung Ruoxua suggested with a smile. Chapter 568. I don't just bite anyone. 3. I don't want to. Yulin objected strongly. He was a human. How could he go and bite a puppy? If news of this spread, would he still want to survive on the boundless heaven continent in the future? You didn't want it yourself. Don't blame me. Lung Ruoxua said with a light smile as if she was relieved. You're shameless. How can you do this? Yulin sobbed. Don't tell me you're going to cry. You were just bitten. Is there a need to? Lung Ruoxua said speechlessly. Could Yulin not be so childish? Ooh, I was bitten by a dog. It hurts. I wonder if your dog has any illness. Yulin said worriedly. Damn it, you're the one who's sick. Biting you is because I think highly of you. I don't bite just anyone. Icy immediately roared furiously when it heard Yulin's words. Damn it, it was not a dog. Why did everyone treat it as a dog? Then don't think too highly of me. My arm was about to be bitten off by you. Yulin said speechlessly. Alas, this was the first time he had seen such a cocky dog. This dog was indeed a little different, but it was still a dog no matter how special it was. It was very troublesome to be bitten by a dog. It'll bite you to death directly if you're not little Lanlan's master. Icy said fiercely. Little dog, do I have a grudge with you? I promise I've never eaten dog meat. Yulin asked in puzzlement. He really couldn't understand when he had offended this puppy. Look at what the Mystic Association headquarters has become now. Who asked you to be the president of the headquarters? Who else should I bite but you? Icy said matter-of-factly. In its opinion, this half-old man had to be punished because he couldn't manage the headquarters well. Therefore he was bitten. The headquarters. Yulin was speechless. It seemed like something had happened to the headquarters. Alas! He saw that the headquarters was almost in ruins the moment he emerged. He didn't know what had happened, but the headquarters' current appearance shouldn't have anything to do with him, right? He had been in seclusion. Moreover, no matter what the headquarters became, it had nothing to do with this puppy, right? Why should it bite him? He felt especially aggrieved thinking of this. The headquarters is in this state now. As the president of the headquarters, you can't escape the blame, so don't think that you have nothing to do with it just because you're in seclusion. Would the headquarters have become like this if you didn't have poor judgment of people? Icy saw through Yulin's thoughts and said coldly, Can any of you tell me what exactly is going on? Yulin frowned and asked the elders in the hall with some displeasure when he heard Icy's words. Alas! This puppy's words made him a little ashamed. Yes. He might be in seclusion, but no matter what happened in the headquarters, he couldn't shirk the responsibility as the president of the headquarters. It seemed like he was really going back farther and farther as he lived. He was actually inferior to a puppy. He really deserved to be bitten. He didn't suffer this bite for nothing. He understood. The elders looked at each other, not knowing how to say it. Even the first elder lowered his head, not daring to look at Yulin. Master, I'll tell you. Lan Ming mustered his courage, and said when he saw that none of the elders dared to speak. Alas! Hopefully, the master wouldn't be angry when he knew. One had to know that even though the master was usually polite and refined, no one in the Mystic Association headquarters could withstand it if he really became angry. Okay, little Minger, tell master, Yulin said while suppressing his anger. Lan Ming nodded. Then he described in detail everything that had happened in the headquarters during his master's seclusion, as well as what Wugong and the others had done. After hearing Lan Ming's words, Yulin's frown became tighter and tighter, and his face became darker and darker. In the end, the elders present didn't even dare to breathe heavily. Lung Ruoxue laughed in her heart as she listened to Lan Ming's vivid description. Hee. It seemed that her education of Lan Ming had begun to take effect. Lan Ming had actually learned to add oil to the fire. Moreover, he had even told her master about Wugong's gossip scandal. Haha. Damn it, where's Wugong? Elder Wang, get Wugong here. Yulin ordered furiously after hearing his disciple's statement. President, Vice President Wu is missing. It said that she eloped with someone. Elder Wang whispered fearfully. He realized that after the president emerged from seclusion this time, his aura had become stronger than before, so he had no choice but to behave. Elope? Who did he elope with? Would anyone want that old thing? Yulin said with slight mockery. Probably with Madame Sunday. Elder Wang wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said ingratiatingly. Which Madame Sun? Yulin was stunned and didn't react for a moment. She's the wife of the acting patriarch of the Sun family. Elder Wang explained carefully. This was a secret that couldn't be revealed by the super families. Why did it have to come out of his mouth? Haha, that old man Wugong is really too useless. He's still thinking about that old woman. Yulin said with a mocking smile on his face. He thought Wugong had a new lover when Lan Ming told him just now. He really didn't expect it to be that old woman. Alas! It seemed that Wugong was really hopeless. However, would that old woman really abandon Madame Sun's noble status and elope with Wugong? He was a little skeptical. Several black lines couldn't help but slide down the elders' foreheads, and they couldn't help but grumble in their hearts in unison. President. Don't say these shameful things. The Mystic Association headquarters would become a laughing stock if news of it spread. Elder Wang, send a letter to the patriarch of the Sun family. Tell him that his wife abducted the vice president of our Mystic Association and asked him to return her. Yulin said, wanting to see the world burn. His handsome face was full of gloating smiles. Wugong had done so many good things for the Mystic Association and bullied his disciple. He couldn't let that adulterous couple be too carefree. President, this isn't too good, right? This concerns Vice President Wu's reputation, right? Cold sweat rolled down Elder Wang's forehead as he wanted to cry but had no tears. Why did the president capture him as an able-bodied man? Why didn't he think of him for a good thing? He was so depressed. Chapter 569. I don't just bite anyone for. What's Vice President Wu's reputation? I'm doing this for the reputation of our headquarters, so I have to capture Wugong and punish him. Yulin said with determination. Wugong caused so much trouble while he was in seclusion, and caused him to be bitten by a dog. He had to find that damn Wugong to settle this score. President. Elder Wang called out softly, still wanting to make a final struggle. Why aren't you going yet? Yulin glared at Elder Wang and asked with displeasure with a dark handsome face. I don't dare to go myself. Elder Wang sobbed spinelessly. He could already foresee that he would definitely be skinned alive by the acting patriarch of the Sun family if he went to the Sun family alone. Look at your bear-like appearance. You are an elder of our Mystic Association. That green-furred turtle from the Sun family won't dare to do anything to you. At most, he will give you a good beating, so there's no need to be afraid. Go ahead boldly. Yulin encouraged nonchalantly. However, he didn't think so in his heart. In fact, he couldn't wait for that long-furred turtle from the Sun family to kill Elder Wang. As for why, it could only be understood but not explained. President, I really don't dare to go alone. Boo-hoo. Elder Wang cried as he spoke. People who didn't know would definitely think that he had been bullied by others with that pitiful appearance. Oh, this isn't easy to deal with. Yulin frowned, his handsome face full of difficulties. Elder Wang, how about this? Go ask those elders yourself and see if any of them are willing to accompany you. I won't stop them if any of them want to go. However, I can't force them if no one is willing to accompany you to the Sun family, right? Yulin continued after thinking for a while. Moreover, what he said implied that he was a good and understanding president who wouldn't force others. Or not. Elder Wang was resentful. You said you won't force them, so why must you force me to go? Ooh. This is obviously contradictory. Moreover, he couldn't understand either. Didn't the president just come out of seclusion? He shouldn't have any leverage against the president. Why did the president scheme against him like this? With this in mind, he stole a glance at Yulin, and then turned his gaze to the other elders. After seeing his inquisitive gaze, all the elders present turned their heads to the other side in unison, ignoring his plea for help. Anyway, the president said that he would not force them to accompany the unlucky Elder Wang to the Sun family, so they were not afraid. However, everyone was working together after all, so it was not good to be too stiff. Therefore, pretending to be muddle-headed was the best choice. Elder Chun, come with me. Elder Wang could only name names when he saw that everyone ignored him. Don't you want to hide, you ungrateful things? I won't let you have your way. So the first person he called was also the elder who usually had the best relationship with him. Elder Wang, I really want to accompany you, but I'm really sorry. It's inconvenient for me to travel these few days. Otherwise, it will bring you disaster. Elder Chun, whose name was mentioned, had a troubled expression on his old face. Ooh. Going to the Sun family was not a good job. It was difficult to say if he could return alive. How could he be willing to accompany Elder Wang, who was despised by the president, to his death? It's okay. I don't mind. Elder Wang said through gritted teeth. Praising their usually good relationship, but Elder Chen actually didn't give him face. He hated it. But I mind. It's fine if anything happens to me alone. I'll feel guilty for life if I implicate you. Elder Chen said hurriedly. Hee, Elder Wang. Don't force Elder Chen since it's inconvenient. Ask the other elders. Perhaps someone will be willing to accompany you. Yulin spoke before Elder Wang. His words made the extremely unwilling Elder Chen heave a huge sigh of relief, but it made Elder Wang extremely depressed. Elder Lu, accompany me. Elder Wang saw that he could not count on the elders who were usually on good terms with him, so he could only seek help from the elders who were not on good terms with him, hoping that there would be a righteous person among them willing to accompany him to the Sun family. However, his wishful thinking was wrong because Elder Lu ignored him at all. Instead, he closed his eyes and pretended to sleep. Elder Wang was so angry that he almost vomited blood seeing this situation. Elder Wang, looks like you're the only one who can deliver the letter. Yulin said helplessly. Alas. In fact, he sympathized with Elder Wang because in his opinion, no one was willing to face difficulties with him, because Elder Wang's social relations were too poor. Alas. All right, I'll set off for the Sun family tomorrow. Elder Wang braced himself. In fact, his heart was bleeding. Don't wait for tomorrow. You can set off now, Yulin urged anxiously. President, it's getting late. If I set off now, I'll have to sleep on the streets tonight, Elder Wang reminded. Boo. He really didn't know how he had offended the president, why he was so impatient to chase him away. Oh, then stay for the night and set off tomorrow morning. Yulin looked at the sky. Yes, then I'll take my leave and rest first, Elder Wang said, wanting to cry but had no tears. Alas. He didn't dare to stay any longer. Otherwise, he didn't know what the president would think of to mess with him again. Therefore, it was better to disappear in front of the president as soon as possible. Okay, first elder, go and rest too. Yulin nodded and said to the first elder and the others. President, we'll take our leave first. The first elder bowed slightly and left the side hall with the elders after speaking. Lung Ruoxua looked at Yulin openly when she saw that the elders of the Mystic Association headquarters had left. To be honest, she originally thought that Yulin was an old man out of line. However, Yulin's performance just now showed her his scheming and protective side. Alas! It seemed like he was another old man who liked to pretend. Lass, I'll be embarrassed if you look at me so intently, Yulin said shamelessly when he felt Lung Ruoxua's inquisitive gaze, his handsome face even revealing a shy expression. Chapter 570. Yulin became the target of the two hairy beasts. 1. Lung Ruoxue was sweating profusely. She retracted her evaluation of Yulin. This fellow was an old man who disconnected frequently, and was occasionally normal. Old man, I'm not looking at you attentively. Don't flatter yourself, Lung Ruoxue said speechlessly. Alas! Why was this old man so familiar with himself? He was Miss Lung previously. He had become a little girl now. What did you call me? Old. Old man? Am I that old? Yulin was a little angry when he heard Lung Ruoxue call him that. His eyes were full of accusation as he looked at her with tears in them. You might look very young, but you're already an old man, Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. We don't care about age, only appearance, Yulin said shamelessly. Ooh. He was determined not to be called an old man. Otherwise, he would have maintained himself so well for nothing. Old fart, don't embarrass yourself because of your old age. I'm blushing for you. The little old man scolded helplessly. Why are you here, old thing? When did you come? Yulin said in surprise. He didn't see this fellow just now. This was a genuine old man. It's not your fault that your eyesight isn't good, the little old man said with a spurious smile. He had known Yulin for more than a day or two, so he knew his shortcomings very well. Yulin often couldn't see others unless that person took the initiative to talk to him. Hee. Yulin laughed dryly, trying to hide his embarrassment. The little old man snorted and ignored Yulin. Lass, he's the old man. I'm different from him, so don't call me old man. You'll call me old do. Yulin said to Lung Ruoxue very seriously, seeing that the little old man was ignoring him. But you're also an old man in my eyes, Lung Ruoxue said stubbornly. Lass. Yulin wanted to say something but was interrupted by Lung Ruoxue. Grandpa do empty, let's go. Lung Ruoxue looked at the people around her. With that, she stood up and pulled the freak out of the side hall, and the little old man and the others naturally followed closely behind. Lass! Yulin hurriedly shouted from behind, seeing Lung Ruoxue leave. However, he didn't receive any response. Master, stop shouting. Rest early today. Lanming also left behind Lung Ruoxue and the others after speaking. Lung Ruoxue and the others returned to the Carefree Hall after leaving the Mystic Association. After returning to her room, Lung Ruoxue brought the freak and empty into the bracelet. Big sister. Qingju appeared in front of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Qingju, what are they doing? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help asking curiously when she saw her beasts gathered together. Big Harry and Second Harry suffered a blow, so everyone is comforting them, Qingju explained. What setback did they suffer? Lung Ruoxue and the others' faces were full of question marks. No one should be able to bully the two bears if they stayed in the space. Moreover, they were transcendent divine beasts and were powerful. People who wanted to bully them had to think twice. The president of the Mystic Association headquarters said that Elder Wang looked like a bear just now, so they were unhappy, Qingju said speechlessly. Alas! These two bears were still sentimental. Aren't we talking about Elder Wang? What does it have to do with them? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. They think that the president is calling them stupid, Qingju said, his pink face full of helplessness. Lung Ruoxue was also speechless. Were Big Harry and Little Harry thinking too much? What Yulin scolded Elder Wang really had nothing to do with them. Schwer, your beast is quite interesting, Empty said with a chuckle. They're not my beasts. They're old man Zao, Lung Ruoxue reminded. Alas! She really didn't know who these two beasts took after. Why were they so suicidal? Aren't they in your space? They are yours, Empty said matter-of-factly. In fact, in his opinion, those beasts were equivalent to her even if they didn't contract with Schwer, just like his Icy. If Schwer encountered danger, Icy would take the initiative to help her without his orders. You mean little Icy is mine too? Lung Ruoxue looked at the puppy sleeping soundly in her arms and deliberately distorted Empty's words. Pretty much. Icy spent more time with you than with me, Empty reminded, his tone slightly complaining. Empty, are you jealous? Lung Ruoxue asked in realization. Am not, Empty quickly denied. How could he be jealous of Schwer? It was a little. But he wouldn't admit it. Let's go see Big Harry and Little Harry. Lung Ruoxue couldn't be bothered to expose him and said to the freak and Empty, "Okay." The two of them nodded slightly and followed Lung Ruoxue to the place where the beasts were gathered. "Big Harry, Little Harry." Lung Ruoxue called out softly. "Miss." The two beasts raised their fluffy heads and looked at Lung Ruoxue with tears in its black eyes. They called her Miss just like Lung Ruoxue's subordinates because they were not Lung Ruoxue's beasts. Why are you crying? Who bullied you? Tell me, I'll teach them a lesson." Lung Ruoxue said knowingly to the advisor, but she couldn't help sighing in her heart. Alas! Look at these 2 cents, as if they had suffered a lot. Was it that serious? "Miss, we are really not so stupid, nor are we so timid and incompetent. Therefore, can you humans not bring us bears along when cursing? We are very aggrieved." Big Harry complained with a long face. Big Harry. In fact, this really has nothing to do with you, so don't think too much. Be good. Lung Ruoxue coaxed helplessly. You humans often hurt the self-esteem of us beasts. When you scold others, you are either talking about pigs or bears. Boo. We just look a little clumsy. In fact, we are not stupid at all. Tell me, how did we provoke you? Why are you making things difficult for us? Big Harry was aggrieved, very aggrieved because it often hurt itself being scolded innocently in Myriad Mountain City. However, its reaction at that time was not as big as it was now. However, it knew that beasts also needed self-esteem and self-love after hanging out with Lung Ruoxue's beasts. They could not be bullied and scolded by others. Therefore, it was angry. If it hadn't been stopped by the other beasts just now, it and Second Harry wanted to go and teach that president a lesson. Chapter 571. Yulin became the target of the 2 hairy beasts too. Big Harry, I'll apologize to you on Yulin's behalf, okay? He really didn't do it on purpose. Lung Ruoxue caressed Big Harry's head. Miss, I want to teach him a lesson personally. Big Harry pleaded. It knew that this person was Lan Ming's master, so it didn't want to make things difficult for Miss. Big Harry, Yulin is a mystic supremacy. Lung Ruoxue reminded him. Alas! Big Harry's defense might be very powerful, but his strength was still inferior to a mystic supremacy, so she was very afraid that Big Harry would not be calm. Miss, I know. I'll join forces with Little Harry to teach him a lesson. Big Harry scratched its big head. Hee, it was not so stupid to deal with a mystic supremacy by itself. Little Harry and it were level 4 transcendent divine beasts, and their strength was equivalent to a human mystic sovereign. With their powerful defense, they might not necessarily be able to defeat a mystic supremacy, but it would not be a problem to teach him a lesson. All right. However, I don't want you to be injured. Lung Ruoxue said very cautiously. Yes, we will be careful. Big Harry promised. With Miss consent, it could teach that old man a lesson freely. Hee. Alas! Poor Yulin. Empty whispered with a light smile, his handsome face full of gloating. You seem very happy, Lung Ruoxue said in realization. The 3 of them sat down on the stone chair in front of the purple bamboo hut after persuading Lung Mao. Of course I'm happy, but I'm afraid someone won't be happy. First he was bitten by a dog, and then he was beaten by a bear. Alas! Poor fellow. Empty said sympathetically, but there was no sympathy in his tone. Master, I'm not a dog. Icy, which had been closing its eyes, suddenly opened its ice blue eyes and said with slight dissatisfaction. Boo. Master was too evil. He actually called it a dog. Hee, Icy, your transmogrification looks like a puppy. Empty smiled nonchalantly. Then I won't transmogrify anymore. Icy roared furiously. It was really infuriating. That won't do. Little Icy, if you don't change your appearance, I won't be able to bring you out in the future. Lung Ruoxue reminded helplessly. Boo. I don't want to be treated as a dog. Icy looked at Lung Ruoxue with tears in its blue eyes and said aggrievedly. Little Icy, calm down. Just ignore those people with poor judgment. Why fuss about it with them? It's beneath your dignity. Lung Ruoxue coaxed. Yes, little Snowy is right. I'll bite whoever calls me a dog in the future, Icy said as if it had made a big decision. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Lung Ruoxia's forehead. That was really not what she meant. He swear it's getting late. Let's rest early. The freak smiled gently at Lung Ruoxia. Okay. Lung Ruoxia hurriedly nodded. Then she placed the icy on the stone table, pulled the freak away, and left. She didn't dare to continue chatting. Otherwise, she was really afraid that all her beasts would become violent beasts. Why did little Snowy slip away so quickly? I'm not done yet. Icy murmured to itself in puzzlement after seeing Lung Ruoxia and the freak leave. Icy, do you really intend to bite whoever you see in the future? Empty asked curiously. Then he would really become a mad dog. Master, when did I say I'll bite whoever I see? I mean I'll bite whoever calls me a puppy. Icy corrected. Boo. Master is a baddie. Icy, the dog that bites isn't a good dog. Empty said fearlessly. Master. Icy roared uncontrollably. Its big blue eyes glared fiercely at Empty. Moreover, a layer of tears actually welled up in its eyes as it glared. Icy, I'm going to rest too. Seeing that Icy was crying, Empty hurriedly escaped. Icy couldn't help revealing a smug smile, seeing that its master was scared away. The tears in its blue eyes had long disappeared. Little dog, you're quite good at acting. White Dawn appeared out of nowhere, and jumped onto the stone table with slight provocation. Kitten, what do you know? This is called wisdom. Icy said nonchalantly, its face full of pride. It's not good to bully your master. White Dawn reminded. It's okay. My master is used to being bullied by me. Icy said shamelessly. Alas! Your master is so pitiful. White Dawn said with a sympathetic face. It was also very important for the master to find a better beast. Kitten, outsiders won't understand the way I interact with master. Icy closed its eyes and said nostalgically. Little dog, continue bullying your master. I'm going to bed. White Dawn jumped off the stone table and returned to its room. Alas! It's also painful not to be understood by beasts. Icy sighed and then fell asleep. The next day, Lung Ruoxia and the freak went directly to the living room after leaving the bracelet. Little Snowy, you're up. Lan Ming hurriedly greeted Lung Ruoxia and the freak when he saw them. Lass, you really can sleep. It's almost noon. Yulin complained as he sat beside Lan Ming. Did President Yu specially look for us? Lung Ruoxia asked very politely. However, she couldn't help but grumble in her heart. What does it have to do with you whether we can sleep or not? We didn't ask you to wait here. Of course, little girl. Thank you for taking care of my disciple during this period of time. Also, you called me old man yesterday. Why are you calling me President Yu again today? Yulin pretended to be displeased. Old man still sounded more friendly. Yesterday was yesterday, and now is different. Moreover, you don't have to be so polite. In fact, we didn't take care of him much. He has to pay for his food and lodging, Lung Ruoxia said honestly. At the same time, she became alert because she felt that there seemed to be a hidden meaning in Yulin's words. Could there be a trap? Lass, I'm not being polite. You took good care of me even if I paid. Yulin said with a smile. Chapter 572. Yulin became the target of the 2 hairy beasts. 3. President Yu, since you've emerged from seclusion, we have nothing to do here. We intend to leave Carefree City tomorrow, Lung Ruoxia said bluntly. They had just discussed this in the morning. Leave? Lass, how can it compare to Carefree City? Why don't you stay in Carefree City? This is the holy land in the hearts of mystics. Moreover, not just any mystic can settle in Carefree City, Yulin coaxed, his expression like a big gray wolf that was deceiving Little Red Riding Hood. Thank you for your good intentions, President Yu. We already have a place to stay. Moreover, we won't stay in the same place for too long, Lung Ruoxia said. She didn't know Yulin's intentions, but she didn't intend to let him have his way no matter what he thought. Little girl, are you talking about Myriad Mountain City? To be honest, how is it very chaotic? How can it compare to Carefree City? Yulin persuaded stubbornly. In fact, he naturally had his reasons for wanting Lung Ruoxue and the others to stay. Alas! The situation of the Mystic Association headquarters was very bad now, so he really hoped that Lung Ruoxue could stay in Carefree City, who asked her subordinates to have so many powerful mystic sovereigns. He didn't want Lung Ruoxue's power to be possessed by any family. Lung Ruoxue didn't intend to rely on any family according to Little Minger, but he couldn't be completely at ease if he couldn't leave them in Carefree City. We don't intend to stay in Myriad Mountain City for long either, Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Lass, where do you intend to stay? Tell me, I can help you find a suitable residence, Yulin asked expectantly. We don't intend to stay in any place for long, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. She was very helpless against Yulin's stubbornness. Alas! She could finally tell that Yulin was determined to rope them in. Lass, no matter where you want to go to train, you have to have a fixed residence. This way, if you're tired in the future, you'll have a place to rest. You have to know that the feeling of home and inn is different. Yulin Xiao said with affection. Yes, President Yu is right, Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Alas! Yulin might be right, but she had the Draikuan bracelet, so it was the same wherever they were. They might not stay even if they had a fixed residence. At most, it was to fool others. In that case, I'll arrange a residence for you in Carefree City. In this way, you won't have to stay in an inn when you come to Carefree City in the future. Yulin said very warmly. All right then. Lung Ruoxue answered reluctantly. Alas! It seemed that Yulin would not give up if she didn't agree. Then come with me quickly. I'll bring you to your residence now. Yulin stood up and said impatiently. So soon. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. She didn't expect Yulin to be so impatient. I've already prepared. Just come with me to take a look, Yulin said happily. The place he arranged for Lung Ruoxue and the others belonged to the Mystic Association headquarters. They didn't have to look for it on the spot, so how could it not be fast? Okay, let's go. Lung Ruoxue and the freak's eyes met, and they both saw helplessness on each other's faces. Alas! The two of them sighed softly, then stood up reluctantly and left the Carefree Hall with Yulin. Little Snowy, I'm so sorry. My master made things difficult for you. Lan Ming, who was following Lung Ruoxue and the freak, said shyly on the way. It's okay. It's just a residence. We can't refuse your master's good intentions for your sake. Lung Ruoxue said understandingly. In fact, she really didn't care much. Anyway, whether they stayed or not was up to her. Yulin couldn't force them to stay. Thank you, Lan Ming said softly. Little Lan, Big Harry and Little Harry intend to teach your master a lesson, Lung Ruoxue said after some hesitation. She felt that Lan Ming should be mentally prepared so that his heart wouldn't ache when he saw his master getting beaten up later. At the same time, she told Lan Ming not to interfere in this matter. Why? My master shouldn't have offended them, right? Lan Ming asked in puzzlement. He really couldn't understand why his master was targeted by those two bears when he had just emerged from seclusion. Alas! Poor master, what bad luck did you have? Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Lung Ruoxue said sympathetically and didn't tell Lan Ming the whole story. Lan Ming was very speechless after hearing it because he felt that his master was really too unlucky. This was simply an undeserved calamity. Little Snowy, can you let those two fur claws show mercy? Lan Ming pleaded. Boo-hoo. He was really afraid that those two bears would beat his master up too badly. Little Lan, your master will definitely be angered to death if he hears you say this. He's a mystic supremacy. How can you not have confidence in him? This is called boosting his beastly aspirations to destroy his master's prestige. Lung Ruoxue said in disapproval. In fact, she was looking forward to the battle between the two hairy beasts and Yulin. What are you talking about? Why are you walking so slowly? Yulin couldn't help asking curiously when he saw Lung Ruoxue and the others walking slowly behind, and even chatting as they walked. Nothing. Just chatting. How far are we? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help asking. Where did this Yulin want to bring them? They seem to have walked far away. We're almost there, just ahead, Yulin said mysteriously. Master. Lan Ming looked at Yulin and hesitated. Boo. He really wanted to remind his master. However, he was afraid that little Snowy would be unhappy. It seemed like little Snowy also wanted his master to be taught a lesson. Alas. Master, it's not that I don't want to help you. I'm really helpless. Little Minger, what do you want to say? Why are you stuttering? Yulin asked in puzzlement, his handsome face full of question marks. Nothing. I just want to tell the master that I miss you a lot. He gave in seeing Lung Ruoxia's glare. Boo. Master, little Snowy's abuse of power is really too powerful. I'm afraid of my disciple. Chapter 573. Is this considered a duel one? Ah, little Minger, you don't have to tell Master about this. Master understands your intentions. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Yulin's forehead as he said unnaturally. He couldn't understand why his disciple was so mushy today. Master, you have to take care of your body. Lan Ming said very implicitly. Alas. Hopefully, Master could understand his hint. Don't worry, Master will definitely take care of his body. Yulin said in puzzlement, his handsome face full of confusion. Clearly, he didn't understand Lan Ming's hint. Lung Ruoxia was secretly amused as she listened to the conversation between the master and disciple. Haha. Little Lan Lan was so gullible. He actually really thought that she didn't allow him to tell her that he wanted to find Yulin for a duel. In fact, she didn't glare at him at all because of this hee. You two really have a deep master-disciple relationship. Lung Ruoxia said with slight envy. Of course. I raised little Minger single-handedly. Yulin said proudly. Seems like you're not young anymore, Lung Ruoxia said in realization. Lass, I told you it only depends on appearance, not age, Yulin protested. This girl was too evil. How could she specially sprinkle salt on his wounds? Age was his fatal injury. How can that do? If my grandfather finds out, he will blame me for not respecting my elders. You should be older than my grandfather, right? Lung Ruoxia guessed. A beautiful smile hung on her face, and her beautiful eyes swirled as she sized up Yulin nonstop. It's okay. I don't mind. Don't call me Grandpa. Just call me Big Brother, Yulin said fearfully. In your dreams. You're from the grandfather generation. Big Brother? How shameless. The freak was displeased before Lung Ruoxia could say anything. Haha. Lung Ruoxia couldn't help laughing lightly when she heard the freak's words. Yulin was indeed quite thick-skinned. Schwer, let's ignore this disrespectful old man. The freak hugged Lung Ruoxia's slender waist and said affectionately. Okay. Lung Ruoxia was very cooperative. Little Minger, they're bullying me. Yulin couldn't help complaining to his disciple as he watched them sing. Master, lead the way quickly. Lan Ming said helplessly. Several black lines involuntarily rolled down his forehead. In fact, he also felt that his master's skin was quite thick. But there was nothing he could do. After all, his master cared the most when others mentioned his age. Well, be there after taking a turn, Yulin said with displeasure. Yulin was depressed. He led the way with his head lowered, and Lung Ruoxia and the others followed behind him, laughing secretly in their hearts. We're here. This is it. A few minutes later, Yulin pointed at a tall mansion and said to Lung Ruoxia and the others. Master, this place is not bad. How did you find this place? Lan Ming asked with a face full of surprise. At the same time, he was a little puzzled in his heart. When did Master become so efficient? He actually found such a good house in just one night. One had to know that such a property was absolutely considered to be at an astronomical price in Carefree City. Moreover, it might not be possible to buy it even if one had money. Nonsense. Of course this place is good. This is the property of our Mystic Association. Yulin roared angrily. He was still angry. Is this the business of the Mystic Association headquarters? I thought the businesses of the headquarters were all tattered. Lung Ruoxia teased with a light smile. After all, the business of the headquarters where Wu Gong lived after she blew up the Mystic Association headquarters was an empty yard that had been abandoned for many years. How is that possible? We will always stand tall in the boundless heaven continent for thousands of years. There are many good things. Yulin's proud tail was about to curl into the sky when he said this. Oh, what about Wu Gong's yard? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. Wu Gong is only the vice president. There are many things he doesn't know about the headquarters. As for the yard he lives in, it belongs to the public property of the Mystic Association headquarters. Everyone knows, but only the president is qualified to know about the hidden property, Yulin explained with a smug face. If Wu Gong thought that just because he stirred up trouble he could take over the headquarters, then he was mistaken. There were many things he didn't know about the headquarters. Even if he became the president, he couldn't really control the headquarters. This was the main reason why he handed the headquarters to Wu Gong and entered seclusion at ease. However, he didn't expect him to underestimate Wu Gong's energy. The current situation of the headquarters was worse than he imagined. Therefore, he urgently wanted Leng Ruoxue and the others to stay in the headquarters because the headquarters desperately needed talents now. Little Lan Lan, did you hear that? Leng Ruoxue asked Lan Ming after hearing Yulin's explanation. I heard it. Lan Ming answered without being puzzled. So what if he heard it? This had nothing to do with him. Then you have to work hard to become the president. Leng Ruoxue said bluntly. Alas! She knew from little Lan Lan's expression that Lan Ming didn't understand her at all. Master has already emerged from seclusion. I don't have to represent the headquarters anymore. Lan Ming said happily. He would wake up laughing even in his dreams thinking of this. Little Lan Lan, he can't be the president for life, so it will be you sooner or later, Leng Ruoxue said with certainty. Lass, I might not hand the headquarters to little Minger, okay? Yulin couldn't help but say. Little Minger was very outstanding, but he had a more suitable candidate now. Then who do you want to hand it to? Leng Ruoxue glared at Yulin with some dissatisfaction and asked. She didn't think anyone was more suitable than Lan Ming to be the president of the headquarters. It's a secret. Yulin smiled mysteriously, whetting everyone's appetite. Damn old man, you're keeping me in suspense. Don't tell me you really want to be the president of the headquarters for the rest of your life? Leng Ruoxue said doubtfully. Of course not. If the person I fancy is willing to take over the headquarters immediately, I'll pass the position of president to him now. However, I'm afraid he won't. Yulin said gloomily, his handsome face full of worry. You really have a candidate? Leng Ruoxue said doubtfully. She thought Yulin was lying to her just now. It seemed like he really had a successor. But who would be more suitable than little Lan Lan? Chapter 574. Is this considered a duel too? Yes, but he won't agree now, so my journey to seek talents is still very long. Yulin said pitifully with a long face. Since that person refuses, don't force him. Let little Lan Lan be your successor. Leng Ruoxue suggested. Little Snowy, I don't want to, Lan Ming whispered. He looked like a wronged little wife. Lass, you heard it. Little Minger refuses. Yulin sighed. Little Lan Lan, didn't we agree? Leng Ruoxue glared at Lan Ming and said threateningly. That's because Master hasn't emerged from seclusion. That's why I agreed. But now that Master has emerged from seclusion, there's nothing for me to do. Lan Ming said matter-of-factly. Lass, don't force little Minger since he refuses. Come, I'll bring you in to take a look at the yard. Yulin helped his disciple out of the predicament. Okay. Leng Ruoxue was helpless. It seemed like she was being nosy. Yulin led the way and led Leng Ruoxue and the others into the yard. Lass, are you satisfied here? Yulin said as if he was presenting a treasure in the yard. This was the best location and environment among all the properties in the headquarters. Not bad. Leng Ruoxue looked up at the spacious yard and nodded with satisfaction. This yard was very big, and was the yard of the yard. The pavilions were exquisite and gorgeous. Moreover, there was a clear stream in the yard that ran through the entire yard. It might not be as good as the Lan family's yard, but Leng Ruoxue believed that this yard was absolutely 1-2 in Carefree City. Lass, this yard will belong to you from now on. This is the property deed. Keep it safe. Yulin handed the deed to Lung Ruoxue and reminded her. Thank you. Lung Ruoxue thanked him, and then stored the deed in the bracelet. Hee, there's no need to be polite. We're family from now on, Yulin said happily. Oh, what do you mean? Lung Ruoxue was puzzled. Lass, you will be an elder of our mystic association from now on, Yulin announced. Elder? I'm not interested. I'll return this house to you if it can only be owned by an elder. Lung Ruoxue said coldly. She took out the deed and threw it directly to Yulin. Humph. Damn old man, how dare you plot against me? Lass, what do you mean? Yulin was a little dumbfounded. Did he say something wrong? He didn't seem to have said anything wrong. Damn old man, do you want to bribe me with just a house? I didn't say I wanted to be an elder of the headquarters. Lung Ruoxue said with great dissatisfaction. She originally thought that Yulin only wanted to rope her in, but now she knew that this old man wanted her to run errands for him. This damn old man's wishful thinking was really too good. However, she would not let him have his wish. Lass, don't be anxious. Listen to me. The elder I'm talking about is just a nominal. You don't have to do anything for the headquarters. Of course, it's another matter if you're willing. Yulin smiled like an old fox. He might not have known this girl for long, but he believed that as long as this girl agreed, even if she was just a nominal elder, she would definitely agree if the headquarters needed her in the future. What he needed to do now was to build a good relationship with this girl. Not only that, being an elder gives you very good treatment every month. Really, believe me, I don't lie to children, Yulin added, the smile on his face looking so pure and innocent. I don't have to do anything for the headquarters? Can't you use the rules of the headquarters to restrain me? Lung Ruoxue asked uncertainly. She was not a child. How could she believe Yulin's words? One had to know that there was no free lunch in the world. No, I promise I won't, Yulin promised. Then what should I, an elder, do? Lung Ruoxue asked doubtfully. The more Yulin said, the more she couldn't believe him. You don't have to do anything. Just name yourself, Yulin said with a smile, his face full of flattery. Do you want me to be a decoration? Lung Ruoxue narrowed her eyes and said with some displeasure. This old fox actually didn't tell the truth. Of course not. You can do whatever you want. Really, I promise, Yulin said very sincerely, so anxious that he was about to cry. Why was this girl so difficult to deal with? If it were others, they would probably have agreed impatiently if they knew that there was such a good opportunity. How could they ask and make excuses like her? Can I kill any elder I don't like? Lung Ruoxue asked deliberately. Of course not. Moreover, I will warn all the elders not to provoke you. That should be enough, right? Yulin looked at Lung Ruoxue like a little wife and asked very obediently. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. Did Yulin mean that he could do it in secret? She didn't understand. What benefits would it bring to Yulin if he didn't follow his principles? I'm just a mystic monarch. You really don't have to compromise. Lung Ruoxue was helpless. This was the only word she could think of now. Alas! Why on earth did this old man do it? You might be a mystic monarch now, but you have potential, so you deserve to be an elder of the headquarters, Yulin said pompously. The elders of the headquarters won't agree, Lung Ruoxue said in realization. Those old men had been around for many years and finally became elders. If they knew that she became an elder of the headquarters because the president begged her, they would be so angry. Anyone who dares to object will be expelled from the headquarters. They won't dare to object, Yulin said confidently. Swear, promise him. Empty sent a helpless voice transmission from the bracelet. Alas! He felt uncomfortable seeing Yulin's current appearance. In fact, he knew Yulin's goal very well. However, he also knew that Swear would not agree with that fellow. Empty, I don't like to be restrained. Lung Ruoxue sent a voice transmission. If she really wanted to be an elder of the headquarters, she would directly get Baby to use mind reading to see what Yulin was planning. However, it was precisely because she had no such intentions that she didn't care too much. You're tuning in to the Lime's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.